Alright, everybody, let's get started, shall we? Music off. Now, main screen, turn on. Boom. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. It is me, your host, Logic Blade, and we are back. Last time around, well, you can actually see where we were. We were in the pawnbroker's office, where we discovered that the British used to treat pawnbrokers like a bank. Clearly, that came with some significant downsides, due to the fact that, not nearly as secure, although they pretend to be. Constant worries of, oh, this could be the wrong person picking this up, and we got a perfect demonstration of why that was. Because this random dude, who happened to have the password to get inside, was able to, very nearly steal this coat left for Gina Lestrade, complete with a piece of key evidence on it regarding one Magnus McGilded, the defendant we had in case 1-3, who mysteriously died during his trial. So there's a lot going on. I have no answers to any of the questions that are swirling through my head right now. All I know is I want to find out more. And so, here I am today. Let's continue on with the adventure of the unspeakable story. It says investigation part 2, so clearly we have more to learn about what's actually going on here. We don't even have a trial yet, so makes sense. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. See? That's why I hate grown-ups. All they do is feed you a pack of lies and take stuff away from you. Oh really, Miss Lestrade? Tell me, is that overcoat keeping you warm? What? Oh my, surely you were given that. Yeah, the D let me keep it, after I looked daggers at him for long enough. He went through the pockets and then said, "Go on then, have it," before telling me to scarper. Always pays off giving people a look like you ate them. I can't help feeling that it's going to get you in serious trouble one day. What I really wanted was that nice shiny disc, mind. The music box disc. But Mr. Windibank said it was practically worthless. I think I'm gonna go and have another bash. Give him a long, hard stare. I think not, Miss Lestrade. We shan't enter Windibank's again today. Why not? That's not fair. It can't be helped, I'm afraid. The police are investigating the scene now, and taking a statement from Mr. Windibank. But that disc's mine. I had the ticket for this coat, and this was in that coat's pocket. And there should be something else and all. That's what the Rotten Cove said, ain't it? Yes, he did mention something about another article, didn't he? Well then, that's mine too, whatever it is. Now she's really pushing her luck. Miss Lestrade, I think it's time to admit defeat. You've had your haul for the day. Yay, and it's all your fault, Sholmes. So, what are your plans now? Will you dine with us this evening? Eh? Iris would be delighted to cook, I'm sure, and I might entertain you with a modest violin recital. Nota. Oh. Why would I come around your place, eh? Have you lost your head or something? Aw. Sholmesy. Oh dear, she's gone. Having reviled on me quite unnecessarily, I might add. I can't help wondering if perhaps she might turn up anyway. Interesting. Once she's had a chance to calm down, I think there's a good chance she'll decide to come. Very well then. I'll inform Iris to set a place for our potential guest at the dinner table this evening. And one more thing. I should be glad of your company later, too. Sorry? I believe I will have a rather splendid surprise to show you. Oh, how exciting. What is it? Last one was so short, I thought we'd get a follow-up. Yeah, were you here last time? We were in the pawnbrokers, and, we discovered that Benedict Eggert was a dirty liar. And this is a continuation of that. You shall have to wait and see, Miss Susato. Until later, then. Ah, you were, just couldn't comment a lot. I see. Let's go take a look around Baker Street while we're here. Look at all the different things in the window of the shop. Ah, that's Windibanks, the pawnbrokery. It looks much smarter than the pawnbrokers in Japan, doesn't it? Yes, you're right. I find pawn shops at home rather inapproachable, honestly. It reminds me of tearfully parting with my favorite fountain pen. I felt so miserable. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, Mr. Naruhodo. Is there really that much here? Doesn't look like it. It's already been 2 months since we started taking lodgings here above Mr. Sholmes' office. I still can't quite believe it. I never expected things would turn out like this. Oh, I know. To actually be sharing accommodation with the world's greatest detective? If I ever find myself before a court of law now, I will have not one regret. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'd be happy to defend you, of course. Is that all there is here? I guess so. Let's go ahead and go see Sholmesy. 15th of April, 3:46 p.m., Sholmes' suite. Oh, Susie and Runo, come in, come in. Good afternoon, Iris. Thank you so much for breakfast this morning. Oh, don't mention it. Goodness, look at the time already. Busy as always? I am. I'm preparing everything for dinner this evening. Already? You're obviously cooking something special, are you? Oh, yes. After all, we have a special guest joining us. Guess who it is? Go on. You'll never guess. Look at those little eyes of hers shining. Oh dear. It is awkward when you already know the answer, isn't it? It's Ginny! Isn't that exciting? Oh, what a surprise! Yes, that's wonderful news! Wow, Iris seems overjoyed at the idea. I can't wait to learn some pickpocketing tips from a real professional. Oh yes, that does sound like fun. I'm not sure that's entirely appropriate. Are you Mr. Naruhodo? By the way, Iris, what's Mr. Sholmes up to? Hurley? Oh, he's been like that ever since we got back. Hello, Mr. Sholmes. I beg that you won't speak to me. Sorry? I don't know who you are, but kindly take your leave. As you can see, I'm not here. I don't know how to respond to that. I do apologize. When he gets like this, he's completely oblivious to everything. Yes, I see. Really, he behaves just like a child sometimes, Hurley does. Mr. Sholmes and Iris have something of a parent and child relationship, don't they? Yes, except that Iris is clearly the parent here. Come to think of it, I wonder where her real parents are. What's the matter, Runo? You have ever such a funny look on your face. Oh, no, it's nothing. I know what it is. Why does this girl live here with Mr. Sholmes, you're wondering? Am I right? How did you... Oh, Runo, I can read you like a book. Ugh, this girl is dangerous. Don't worry, you can ask me anything. I won't mind. So, by Ginny, you mean Miss Lestrade, the young woman from the McGilded case 2 months ago, right? Yes, who also stole my experimental smoke grenade launcher. Although, after that trial, I invited her back here and we had dinner together. And now we're the best of friends. Oh, what a lovely tale. Yes, now if I bump into her on the street, she runs away as fast as she can. Oh. And I chased her after her down the back alleys. Interesting idea of friendship. Just like Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. And then I let her have the latest color of smoke grenade I developed. Oh. There's so many beautiful colors in the world. Ginny wants me to make a whole rainbow. I suppose this means you've let Miss Lestrade keep the smoke grenade launcher, have you? Yes, that's right. I got bored of it anyway. Hurley always reacts the same way when I shoot him with it now. Poor Hurley. Ooh, I can't wait for Ginny to arrive. It's been too long since she last came over. I'm so excited. I just hope she actually does come. I'm sure you've been wondering why it is that I live here with Hurley, haven't you? Well, it has crossed my mind. That and where are your real parents? My mommy and daddy aren't with me anymore. Oh. Mummy passed away when I was born, and at around the same time my father, well, he had to go to a faraway land because of one of the cases he and Hurley were working on. Oh. Wait a minute. Did you say he and Hurley? Yes. Daddy and Hurley were always solving mysterious cases together. She didn't mention that before. He wrote them all up in his diaries. That's what's in the metal chest over there. Really? He recorded them all? So, you mean it's true? Mr. Sholmes really did have a partner with whom he tackled some of his most taxing cases? Oh yes. I mean, it's always nice to have one, isn't it? So, Mr. Sholmes' partner was your father? Exactly. Hurley told me I wasn't allowed to look in the chest, but that only made me want to look even more, so I opened it up. And found your father's memoirs. Yes, so I asked Hurley, who wrote these? He nearly fell off his chair. But then he told me. That's when I found out that the author of all those accounts was my father. So, Iris's father was Mr. Sholmes' partner. Was he the guy who died in the first case? I mean, they're both named Wilson, so it could be. I hope not, because that would suck. I've practically lived with Hurley all my life. I was tiny when he took me in. So, it came as quite a shock when Hurley told me he wasn't really my daddy, I mean. It must have done. I wonder why Mr. Sholmes chose to tell you, and at such a young age. Hurley says it's because he wouldn't have been able to hide it from me. Oh? Well, having lived with Hurley all these years, you might say that his ways have rubbed off on me. There are some things that I can just see. Especially lies. I almost know when people are lying before they open their mouths sometimes. Right. Anyway, I was so fascinated when I read Daddy's diaries. That's what inspired me to write The Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, actually. I'd always assumed Mr. Sholmes simply told you all those thrilling stories. Oh no, Hurley's hopeless like that. He forgets everything. As soon as he solved a case, it all but vanishes from his mind. Oh, I see. The other day it was so embarrassing. As usual, he totally forgot about the case he just solved. So the very next day, he gathered together all the people involved and proceeded to solve the case again. It was quite a shock for everyone. You can say that again. You share your father's surname, don't you, Iris? That's right. Wilson. Daddy is Dr. John H. Wilson. Oh no. I learned from his diaries that he's a doctor of medicine, you see. That's what prompted me to study and study so that I could earn a doctorate as well. Iris's father, who went to some distant land, and is a doctor by the name of John H. Wilson. The court will now hear the trial of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Kindly state before the court the name of the victim in this case. The victim's name was Dr. John H. Wilson. Yep, our very first trial. I had a feeling, but I didn't want to admit it. Poor Iris. Yeah, Swan Lady killed him. And got away with it, too. That's right, the visiting professor of medicine at the Imperial Yume University. And the man who, in the most bizarre of circumstances, lost his life just before we left Japan. Miss Susato? Yes. Perhaps we shouldn't pursue this conversation any further at this time. I think that would be for the best. Oh, my heart. Ah, my dear fellows! How good to see you! Mr. Sholmes! Why ever did you not make your presence known to me before? Well, no matter. So, how the devil are you? We've been with you for most of the day. Goodness, really? Do tell me, Mr. Sholmes, is your violin unscathed? My violin? Whatever are you talking about, dear madame? Oh, never mind that now. I have something far more interesting to show you. Behold, my dear fellows. Oh, another music box disc. No, not another disc, Miss Susato. This is the one Gregson demanded we hand over as evidence. Mr. McGilded's disc. Oh my. Then, what's it doing here? You know, at times, Mr. Naruhodo, I think that though I have an undeniable turn for detection, I may well be even more adept at larceny. Ooh, that would be wonderfully exciting. I'd be your pickpocketing assistant. And Bruno could be our go-to lawyer if we ever got caught. Right. Plus, Susie has such beautiful handwriting, she could write all of our menacing crime notifications. Yes, I'd be delighted. I'm just gonna pretend this conversation never happened, I think. Definitely better at larceny. Oh, that's for sure. I don't understand. How did that disc come to be in your possession? I thought Inspector Gregson took it back to Scotland Yard. Quite correct. And that sort of uncompromising attitude is precisely why I always carry some of this. That's a bar of caramel, Mr. Sholmes. Your one and only friend in times of loneliness, if I'm not mistaken. If you will humor me, my dear fellows, cast your minds back to when the good detective confiscated the disc. I'll be taking that whatever it is of McGilded's down to the yard, thank you very much. So hand it over. Oh, yes, of course. If the police demand something as evidence, my dear fellow, we have no choice but to capitulate. It's all yours, Inspector. For the briefest of moments, I had the disc in my hand, did I not? Yes. Yes, you did, but I still don't understand. It was at precisely that moment that I summoned my one and only friend into action. I pressed the disc into a pair of bars, like this. That's amazing! The disc and all the minuscule protrusions have made an image in the caramel. Indeed, this caramel is quite exceptional. I developed it myself, you know. Suitably soft for making impressions, but resistant to melting. The result of a precisely controlled solution. How extraordinary! Carrying a pair of these on one's person frequently proves very useful indeed. Take a house key, for example. A simple press, and its unique form is duplicated. I can enter anyone's property at will, and never without high sucrose nourishment. Yes, it sounds illegal. From the image, I was able to create this. I confess I was most curious to know what manner of music would issue from the disc when played. Now, this is interesting. Do tell us then, Mr. Sholmes, what music does the disc play? Well, unfortunately, I have no idea. No idea? None whatsoever. Are you familiar with the workings of a music box, my dear fellows? No, I'm afraid not. Goodness, you don't know, Runo? Inside a music box, there's a special metal piece called a comb. That's what produces the sound. Small protuberances pluck the different teeth of the comb as they rotate past it, making the different notes. The first music boxes to be invented used a rotating cylinder with protuberances in it. Or on it. But over time, a new type of player was produced, which uses discs such as these. With that development, the popularity of music boxes spread far and wide, all around the globe. Why exactly? Because the discs are easy to produce, and can be interchanged to facilitate the playing of different tunes. There are a great many firms in Europe now manufacturing music boxes as a result. It is wonderful to be able to enjoy music, even when no performer is present. But it is the very success of the invention that means we are now presented with an insurmountable problem. What do you mean? As you may imagine, the construction of one firm's music box does not match that of another. And we have no way of knowing in which music box this particular disc was designed to be played. There's no resolution to this problem, I'm afraid. It's quite intractable. Oh, I see. So that's why. Naturally, I tested those discs in the few music boxes I have at my disposal. But as you can hear, to no avail. The results were equally unsatisfactory in this one. So, I am presently engaged in inquiring an example of all the music boxes ever made in Europe. Every single one? That's Hurley for you. Always taking things too far. But my dear girl, an unsolved riddle is quite repugnant to my constitution. But surely all the different types in Europe will amount to a huge volume of music boxes, won't it? Yes, that is certainly true. In the worst case, I shall just have to ask you to vacate the attic room. What? Sholmes, no, we just got here. Magnus McGilded. Now, not a name I expected to hear again so soon. Yes, it's only been 2 months since that grisly case. Mr. McGilded perished within hours of the trial's conclusion. Was it the curse of the Reaper? No one knows, still now. The omnibus was reduced to a pile of ash. Not a shred of evidence remained. And with the man's death, the truth about the murder in which he was so intimately involved was buried. even though we successfully established Mr. McGilded's innocence in the trial. The newspapers are still claiming that it remains an unsolved case. The murder of the brickmaker, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In the end, the truth of the matter remains a mystery. We still have no idea what really happened that night. And although Mr. McGilded was found not guilty through my defense, I still don't know if that was the right judgment or not. It would appear that the case is not yet closed. Well, it's time I started getting things ready for dinner, I think. Ginny will be here before long. Thank you, Iris. Oh, well, you must let me help you then. Of course, Susie. There's plenty to do. I think I shall investigate the condition of my faithful performing partner. Now then, where did I leave it? Let this be a lesson to you, Mr. Sholmes. Never leave anything too precious with the pawnbroker. Yes, you may be right. Oh, that reminds me of something Mr. Windibank said before. He said that he had a manuscript of Iris's in pawn, didn't he? Did he? Yes, he definitely mentioned it. Mr. Sholmes' latest tale of otherworldly mystery lies dormant in my storeroom. Were his words, I believe. So you heard about that, did you? I expect you were as incensed as I was. Oh, yes. The idea of such a wonderful story languishing in Mr. Windibank's storeroom, gathering dust? My dear madame, I'm quite sure I told you already. The pawnbroker's storeroom is the safest place for it. More secure than a bank's vault. And what about your Stradivarius, Hurley? Was that safe and secure? Well, there may be the occasional mix-up, caused by a certain impetuous someone not too far from me now. Do you have any idea how long it took me to write that Baskervilles story, Hurley? Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. Wait, what? Huh? What? What? Guys, what? Ugh! What's going on here? Why does it feel like an icy chill just swept through the room? Susie, what did you just say? You said the Hound of the Baskervilles. But how could you know the full title? Well, that's... oh, fuck. Oh, God. Stream's acting up. One sec. Is it back now? What the fuck was that? Oh. It's Chrome acting up. I have to leave a window open. I have to have Twitch chat open at all times because don't want to accidentally get raided and be caught unawares. Raided by normal people is fine, but lots of hate raids still going on, so I gotta be careful there. But yeah, it was just decided, okay, Chrome's gonna eat all my RAM and slow my stream to a halt for a second there. Should be alright now, but just in case, everything should be hunky-dory. Well, that's because Miss Uzato's such a great fan of all the stories about Mr. Sholmes, of course. But, Runo, the Hound of the Baskervilles has never been published. What? When I showed Hurley the manuscript, he told me that I wasn't allowed to publish it yet. I don't understand. That's why he said that he'd keep it safe. Until it was the right time for the story to be made public, you see. So that's why the manuscript is at Windibank's? And yet, how could Susie here know its title? Well, Hurley, what's going on? Ah. What is it, Mr. Sholmes? It would appear our guest has arrived. Miss Lestrade. This was a bad idea. I knew I weren't welcome. I'm going. No, wait, Miss Lestrade. We've all been eagerly awaiting your arrival. Haven't we, Iris? Oh, yes. Just wait there, Ginny. We'll have everything ready in a jiffy. Come along, Susie. Right. Of course. It's a pleasure to see you here, Miss Lestrade. Please, make yourself at home. Don't stand in the doorway, my dear girl. Come along in. What say you to some Mendelssohn? I won't take no for an answer. Sorry, that's Mendelssohn. Meddlesome it is, then. Kitty. Kitty is here, too. That evening, Iris prepared us all a meal that was even more delicious than usual. Mr. Sholmes' violin performance was in no way meddlesome, and Gina, as we came to call her, taught us all how to steal things from one another without being noticed. Everyone thoroughly enjoyed themselves, well into the night. (15th of April, 9:34 p.m. Naruhodo's Legal Consultancy). That was a very enjoyable evening, wasn't it? Oh yes, Iris's cooking was truly divine. And I feel as though I can still hear the enchanting strains of Mr. Sholmes' violin, even now. Best of all, I bet I can steal the glasses from his lordship's face next time we're in court. Naruhodo-san, could I consult with you about something, I wonder? What's the matter, Suzato-san? It's about the telegram I received. Oh, the one that arrived first thing this morning, I suppose. I've been summoned. What? Summoned? What do you mean? The telegram was from the Lord Chief Justice's office. Lord Strongheart has asked to see me. The Lord Chief Justice? When? Tomorrow morning. What? Then we have to start preparing at once. Oh, no, that won't be necessary, Naruhodo-san. I've been summoned alone. Alone? What on earth for? I have no idea. I suppose I shall find out tomorrow. What's all this about? Whatever it is, it's making me feel very uneasy. Same here, buddy. Same here. Oh, who could that be, I wonder? Good evening, friends. Oh, Iris. Hello again. And Gina, too. Yes, Ginny's gonna stay with us tonight. She's gonna sleep in with me. Isn't that right, Ginny? Well, yeah. How lovely. Let me make a pot of tea. You know, I've learned so much today. Oh, what in particular? All those things Ginny showed us. Wasn't it wonderful? Ah, you mean all those pickpocketing techniques. We had fun trying them out on each other, didn't we? I think I've awakened a natural talent. I could earn a living from it. You might be getting ahead of yourself a little there. So, what brings you up to our humble quarters at this late hour? Well, you see, I came to return this. Wait, what? That's mine! Oh my. However did you... I told you, didn't I? I have a natural talent for it. Oh yes, I'd forgotten. Iris literally is a child genius. So anyway, here, you can have it back. Not that I really understand why you wear it, though. Oh, thank you. Alright then. Good night. Yes, good night. So this is your office, is it? What do you think, Ginny? I think I wouldn't fancy me chances with a lawyer what lives in a place like this. Yes, me too. Ha 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 ha. It seems as though Iris here still has something she'd like to talk about. I suppose she probably wants to talk about the manuscript. Yes, I suppose she probably does. Just a boring old thing, really, but... Oh, I don't really like boring things. I mean, who does like boring things? No one wants to be shown something boring. Come to think of it, you're always introducing things with, this is boring, but it's a bad habit. You should stop it. I'll be sure to let the entire population of the Empire of Japan know on my return. I mean, to be fair, it is a bad habit when you're talking with Western people about it. Different cultures, but obviously. Let us ask about the manuscript. Iris, I suppose you're hoping to talk about the manuscript, aren't you? Aren't you going to tell me? I'm so sorry. I need a little more time. Please. Alright, I understand. I hope I haven't made you feel awkward. Oh, no, not at all, Iris. Not at all. I don't know what all this is about, really, but... It's a story you made up, is it, Iris? This manuscript, or whatever you call it. It's not exactly a story that I made up. It's something that I read in Daddy's diaries. Daddy's? That's right. I don't suppose I've mentioned it to you before, Ginny, but my daddy was Hurley's assistant once. His partner. Eh? They solved all sorts of strange and mysterious cases together. Is that right, mister? Apparently so. I was surprised as you are, though. And Daddy wrote all the details of every single case down, you see, in his diaries. So, I study them, and write my stories based on what actually happened. So, where's your old man now, then? He had to go away on urgent business, to a faraway land, and he'll be gone a very long time. So, I've never really met him. Oh, right. Come to think of it, I don't know anything about Gina's parents either. Perhaps we should ask her. Iris, this Hound of the Baskervilles story? I take it that it's another tale inspired by your father's accounts? That's right. I thought it was fascinating. But it's different somehow, from the other cases, I mean. Oh? How so? I don't really know, but it must be special in some way. Because after I'd written it, and I showed the manuscript to Hurley, he turned as white as a sheet. It was the first time I've ever seen him like that. It pains me to have to say this after you've toiled over it for so long, Iris. But this story must not be published at this time, under any circumstances.
But why not? It's one of my best works.
I'm not at liberty to say. Not now. So please do not ask me.
Alright then. I won't.
But I do solemnly swear that I will explain everything to you one day, Iris. When the time is right. And that's how the manuscript came to be with Mr. Windibank, isn't it?
Yes. Hurley said that it had to be somewhere very safe. That really gets my goat, that does. He's treating you like a child. It's mean, that's what it is. Keeping secrets like that.
I'm sure Mr. Sholmes isn't trying to be mean. Eh? If he said he wasn't at liberty to talk about it, I'm sure there must have been a very good reason.
I think so too.
You lot too trusting for your own good. But he can't pull the wool over my eyes. Sholmes is lying to Iris, I bet my life on it. What?
Hurley's lying to me?
Yeah, this is probably how I have to talk to Gina. I've realized that I don't know anything about your parents, Gina. I ain't got any, have I? Never did have.
Oh.
Look, the East End's full of orphans like me. No one wants nothing to do with us from the minute we're born. Not even our mums. But we all stick together. The older ones look after the little ones and make sure they get by.
So that's why you're a pickpocket.
Nah. Diving's my life. I love it. I get a kick out of it every time I lift some pompous idiot's purse. And that's how we all afford to eat. I'm like Robin Hood, ain't I? That's how I see it.
Oh, Gina.
I do think about it sometimes. What it'd be like to have parents, I mean. Always thought it'd make everything right. But I haven't listened to what Iris just said. Sounds like having parents ain't always easy either.
Oh.
I mean, if you know you never had them, you don't feel like you're always wanting to meet them.
It's true. I do want to see Daddy. So much.
Oh, Iris. Iris. Oh, I feel so bad for her. I just want to hug her. Gina, what did you mean when you said that you know Mr. Sholmes is lying to Iris? Well, he reckons he popped that manuscript or whatever, right? Come on, that's obviously a load of rubbish. Oh my. Why would you think that, Gina? It's simple. That store really was no Windibank storeroom. There's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words, you, could know about it.
Oh.
Sorry, Iris. Well, if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you.
But Hurley would never do something like that. I'm sure of it.
Ha! Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced liars, the lot of them. You just ain't realized it yet. I'm telling you, that manuscript ain't at Windibank's. You'd soon see if you had a look. Even if you think you can trust him, I don't. That Sholmes is a liar like the rest of them. I believe in Sholmes. I believe in you, Sholmes. I know you're not a liar. If I'm honest,
I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. See? Oh, but I don't mean that I think he sold it. I mean that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere. Somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him.
Don't be too hard on yourself, Iris. Oh my goodness, look at the time! Come along, Ginny. We should go back downstairs. Yeah, alright. And please, don't mention any of this to Hurley, will you? No, of course not. Good night then, Iris. Good night, Gina. You must let me make breakfast for you tomorrow morning. I insist. Oh, yes, please. I can't wait, Susie. Good night, then. Iris. Sure is easy to forget, isn't it? Sometimes she speaks just like an adult. But deep down, she's still just a child. A 10-year-old girl, to be precise. Gina's 17 and Susato's 16. You know, I always thought Susato was older, but I guess that makes sense. Also, Egbert Benedict. Well, I think it's time that I turned in for the night too, Naruhodo-san. Dr. John H. Wilson, Iris's father, but also the name of the murdered visiting professor at Yume University. It can't be a mere coincidence. There's something deeper going on. Mr. Naruhodo? Mr. Naruhodo? That voice. That's Mr. Sholmes. What's going on? It's the middle of the night. It's Miss Lestrade. She's gone. Gina? She was supposed to be sleeping in Iris's room, but her bed is empty. Well, she's an independent young woman. She probably decided to go home, no? I think not. From speaking to her before she retired, I received the distinct impression that she was looking forward to breakfasting with Miss Susato. No, I don't believe the girl has gone home. But I've been waiting for over an hour now. Over an hour? Oh. If you'll indulge me, look out the window, my dear fellow. What's this about? Wait a minute. Why is there a light on at this time of night? That's Mr. Windibank's pawnbrokery. Mr. Windibank's? Oh no. It's simple. That store really was no Windibank storeroom. There's no way someone from halfway around the world, in other words, you, can know about it. Sorry, Iris, but if you ask me, he sold it. Without telling you. Could Gina have gone? Seems you have some knowledge of the situation, Mr. Naruhodo. Sorry? Oh, no, not really. Well, anyway, we must investigate. At once. Miss Susato. (16th of April, 1:14 a.m., Baker Street. The door to Windibank's. It's open. And the lamp is burning. It must be Gina, mustn't it? Let us hope it's nothing more sinister. What? Come, there's not a moment to lose. Clearly something is afoot inside. Oh boy, what's happening here? There's no one here. Oh yes, there is. Ah! Mr. Sholmes! Mr. Sholmes! What the? Has Sholmes been shot? Leave me, Mr. Naruhodo. But... after them! Go! Right! Oh fuck. Oh fuck, oh piss, oh no. Blast! I've lost them. Hello, hello. What have we here? The alarm was just raised from this pawnbroker, sir. Would you know something about that? Officer, come with me. It's my friend, Mr. Sholmes. He's been shot. Shot? With the policeman close behind me, I ran back to Windibank's.
Mr. Sholmes!
Mr. Naruhodo.
How bad is it? Never mind me, but there's much at stake. Behind that door. In the storeroom. Hurry! It's Gina!
Oh, shit. Well, looks like we have our next trial. It's only been an hour since I started, so let's keep going. I'll be alright, Mr. Naruhodo. After them! Go! Behind that door. In the storeroom. Hurry! It's Gina. Well, that's very damning evidence. From that moment, Windibank's pawnbrokery became a crime scene. Everything that followed happened in a whirlwind of activity. The arrival of the police, the preliminary investigation of the scene, and the questioning. It was just before dawn before I was allowed back to my lodgings at 221B. Oh, Iris. A telegram came, but all it said was, wait at home. Oh, yes, we asked one of the policemen to have it sent. It was simply impossible to come back. When I woke up, I was all alone. Hurley and Ginny were gone. Everyone was gone. What happened, Runo? Poor Iris. She's trembling. She's obviously trying very hard not to let herself get too worried. I'll explain everything that I know. Something awful has happened, hasn't it? Yes, I'm afraid so. I'm sorry to have to tell you this, Iris, but Mr. Windibank is dead. He was shot. We discovered it in the early hours of the morning. Oh, yes. I had a feeling. You did? Well, I saw all those police carriages pulling up outside his shop, so I knew something must have happened there. When we entered Windibank's in the small hours, we disturbed a gang of 2 thugs. They ran out onto the street, and I chased after them, but they got away. So, it was one of them who shot old Mr. Windibank, I suppose. I don't know, but that's not what the police believe at the moment. Oh, why not? They've arrested someone else as their prime suspect, you see. Gina. Ginny? But why? Well, the thing is... No!
Ginny wouldn't do something like that.
I know. None of us think she did it.
Then why have they arrested her?
I'm sorry. There was nothing I could do.
I don't understand why they arrested Ginny. It's not fair. What about the 2 thugs that were at the scene? Why aren't they the prime suspects? After all, they shot Hurley dead, didn't they?
No, I mean, Mr. Sholmes isn't dead, Iris.
This is all so horrible.
Oh, I should have done this in order, I'm sorry. The thing is, Mr. Windibank was found on the floor in the storeroom where he keeps all the deposited articles. And the storeroom door was locked from the inside.
I see.
But he wasn't alone in there. Gina was found next to him on the floor as well.
Oh no.
And according to the detectives who investigated afterwards...
Don't tell me. There was no one else in the room?
Yes, exactly. How did you know?
It's the only explanation.
Yes, the only explanation indeed.
What do you mean by that, Bruno? Well...
What can I say? I'm damned if I agree, damned if I don't.
So, where's Hurley then? Is he still there investigating the scene?
He really ought to have some breakfast. It's not good for him to miss meals. I don't want you to worry, Iris, but I have some news about Mr. Sholmes. He was taken to hospital this morning.
What?
Well, when we entered Windibanks, a gun was fired and he took a bullet.
Hurley was shot? No. No.
It's alright. His life isn't in danger.
Really? Are you sure? Where is he? Which hospital?
He's at St. Sinner's. They're tending to him there.
I must see him. At once.
I'm sorry, Iris, but you can't.
Why not? That's not fair. I'm a family member. I should be allowed.
No, I mean, nobody can see him at the moment. He's not allowed any visitors. They're preparing to operate, you see.
To operate? Oh, poor Hurley.
It was the 2 thugs who were in Mr. Windibank's shop. They shot Mr. Sholmes when we disturbed them, you see. It was pitch black inside the shop at the time. My mind went totally blank, I'm afraid. I just froze. After them! Go! After that, I ran out into the street, but, well, they were long gone. I shouldn't have hesitated. I'm so sorry. It's my fault. I let them get away.
I think that's a very good thing.
Sorry?
Well, if you'd seen which way they went and chased after them, you might have been shot as well, Bruno. On top of everything else, I couldn't bear that.
Oh, Iris.
Where's Susie, Bruno?
She's still at the police station.
Oh, why?
I expect she's still being questioned. The police said they wouldn't be finished for a while.
Why aren't you there then?
Well, I didn't get a good look at the criminals anyway, so they weren't questioning me for long. And Miss Usato stayed behind at the scene to tend to Mr. Sholmes, so they didn't get started until later.
Oh, I see.
Besides, one of us had to come back to be with Iris. I'm glad Inspector Gregson agreed to me leaving early.
You should have let me know, and I would have come to the station.
I'm afraid I'll need to go out again now, Iris. There's not much I can do at the moment, but I can at least try to find out how Mr. Sholmes and Gina are getting on.
I want to go too. Take me with you, Runo. I can't stand just sitting around here waiting.
I'm not sure how I feel about taking a 10-year-old child to the scene of a murder, but I don't want to leave her all alone here either. Alright then, Iris. Perhaps you can help me.
Oh, yes, I'd love to.
Gina's at the prison. Mr. Sholmes is probably in his hospital bed.
And don't forget, we have to visit the crime scene. We need to conduct a thorough investigation.
Ah, I can see you're ready for action. I imagine Iris would appreciate going to the hospital sooner rather than later. Alright then. So that was a lot. God. Poor Iris. All because, you know, Gina was worried about her. I have lots of new locations, huh? Alright, first things first, we're visiting the hospital. "16th of April, St. Sinner's Hospital, Ward number 3.
Hurley!
Oh.
He's not here.
No, that's strange. The nurse definitely said he was in the bed by the window, didn't she?
Ooh, I know what's probably happened. Hurley was being a big baby, and the bullet wound wasn't all that bad, so he's been sent home.
I'm not so sure about that. Baby or not. There's no questioning that it was a fairly serious injury that Mr. Sholmes suffered. Okay, you're back. What happened? What's the case? Oh my god, you missed a lot, Crimson. So, Gina came to join us for dinner. We had a nice conversation and party and all that. And when we told her about the manuscript that has been in Windibank's storeroom, Gina was convinced that Sholmes was lying about it being locked up in there, and she went to go to Windibank's to check to see if it was still there. Problem is, a murder kind of happened there. Mr. Windibank was killed, and Gina was the only other person in the storeroom with him at the time. Therefore, she's the prime suspect in a murder case. And we are likely going to have to prove her innocence. So that's what we're investigating now. Oh, and Mr. Sholmes got shot. He was shot as we tried to investigate what the hell happened over there. Damn it, every time we go shopping. Yeah, pretty much.
Oh.
Hello, what have we here? This ward's off limits, no visiting. So, what are you doing in here, eh?
Well, I'll have you know we're Hurley's next of kin.
Eh? Oh. Well, begging your pardon then, ma'am. Sir. A little lady and a curious Eastern gentleman. Great mystery solver is a mysterious family, eh? That's how you see us? Sure.
Where is he, Constable? Where's Hurley?
I believe he's currently in the operating theater, ma'am. Undergoing an extensive operation.
Extensive?
Has been several hours since he went in.
Oh dear. Is he going to be alright?
Well, it doesn't appear to be working, you see. The anesthetic, that is.
Oh.
I have a report the gentleman claims he may have had a little too much to drink last night. Coffee, that is. Anyway, I think it'd be fair to assume that he won't be back here for several hours yet. I see. Thank you, Constable. Perhaps we should leave and come back later.
Oh, poor Hurley.
Let's examine the hospital while we're here. There's a notice board on the wall here, look. Let's see, what does it say? Thought of the day. On seeing any vermin, calmly and discreetly inform matron.
Oh yes, they have rats and mice in hospitals like this that love to feast on all the medicine. If you don't deal with them, there's nothing left to treat the patients.
Rats and mice? Oh, I see. This is a rather old building, I suppose.
But the doctors and nurses are all very good, I hear.
I certainly hope so, for Mr. Sholmes' sake. I thought this would be like his bedside report, but I guess not. I wonder what these are. Do you have any idea, Iris? Oh, haven't you ever seen crutches before? Let me explain. They're for people with leg injuries, to help them walk. You hold on one under each arm, you see? Ah, right. I thought they were weapons of some sort. Why would there be weapons in a hospital? I thought maybe a fighter had been injured in a battle contest and brought here along with his weapons. That's surprisingly plausible. Iris is so cute. This must be Mr. Sholmes' bed. Poor Hurley. I know. It looks as stiff as a board, doesn't it? Oh, I don't think that'll bother him. No. I often find him asleep face down on the floor, completely dead to the world. I think I'd call the police if I discovered someone like that. Mr. Sholmes, you certainly are a character. Alright. Looks like there's nothing to do here. Let's go and check in the prison cell, shall we? 16th of April. Local prison, cell number 13. Hello, Gina. Why would they let her keep that in here? Oh, you still have the grenade launcher Hurley and I made. I wish you wouldn't point it at me all the time, though. What are you here for? Ginny, I have a feeling it's because of us that you've ended up in trouble. So, we were thinking that we might be able to help you. Well, you can't. Sorry? You heard. Get lost. Don't be like that, Ginny. I know you didn't do it. You'd never shoot someone. I just know you wouldn't. You think you know me? Pull the other one. Oh. You ain't got the first idea about the likes of me. I'm a thief. I pinch people's purses when they're walking down the street. That's how I get by. And if I saw me chance, I'd sneak into a pawn shop any day of the week. Just to see what I could lay me hands on. Get it? That's the kind of person I am. But Jenny... I'll be in court tomorrow, they said. Some code came by before and said he'd be a lawyer for me or the like. Said it was my right or something. But I told him to get stuffed. I don't need no lawyer. I don't need no one. She couldn't be staring at me any more obviously if she tried. Why are you being like this, Jenny? I don't understand, Gina. Why did you send the public defender away? He wanted me to sign some papers. Representation papers or something like that. It's all gonna be rigged anyway, the whole trial. They'll pin it on me because I'm a kid. That's what grown-ups always do. Why do you think that? Because that's how it's always been for me, growing up in the back slums. Me whole life. If you do what the grown-ups tell you, you'll get your mates dragged off by the coppers. Or worse. I've had it happen to me before and all. Been sold out and nearly snaffled on the back for it. You can't trust no one. That's the point. As soon as you do, you're gone to grass. Dead. Gina, listen. If you like, in tomorrow's trial, I could... Forget it! Ginny, don't you trust Ryuno? Nah, I don't. Look, I'll ask you nicely now. Just leave me alone. I can't do that. Will you tell us what happened, Gina? Last night, at the pawnbroker's. There's nothing to tell. I figured it'd pay me, so I broke into the place and started going through the storeroom. The old bloke walked in on me, and you know the rest. But why, Ginny? Why would you do that? Ain't it obvious? The place is full of stuff I could sell for a shilling or two. Diving ain't easy, you know. It's a lot of work, and half the time you don't even get nothing. Is that really why you broke into the place? What? Are you sure the true reason wasn't something else?
Oh, give it a rest. What'd be the point anyway, eh? Nothing I could say will make a blonde bit of difference. Please tell us, Ginny. We'll believe you, whatever it is. Believe me. Don't be daft. You can't believe nothing. Everyone lies all the time. And you know what? When it comes to lies, I'm the biggest of the lot. I've told some unforgivable lies, I have. What do you mean by that? What unforgivable lies?
What did you mean before, Gina, when you said you were the biggest liar of the lot? Why don't you tell us what these unforgivable lies you've told are? Maybe we can help.
Sorry. We're out of time. They're gonna want to question me now. Ginny, please. Oh, yeah. I wanted to give you this. Something to remember me by. Aww. It's a cat.
A photographic print of a really adorable cat.
I found it in one of the pockets of this coat. Ain't no point in me having it. I wonder what a little photograph like that was doing in a pocket of that overcoat. Anyway, don't bother coming again. Bye. Oh, Ginny.
The white cat photograph has been entered into the court record. This is an adorable little cat. I think it looks a little like Wagahai. I always thought that cats like to curl up inside under the heated kotatsu blanket when it snowed. Maybe British cats are different. Look on the back of this print here. There's something written on it.
13th of February, 9 p.m. Article deposited, 1 small box. Loan amount paid, 10 shillings. Redemption deadline, 13th of April, 9 p.m.
So this photographic print is a redemption ticket? The 13th of February.
That could be significant. It was just 2 days before the murder on the omnibus, wasn't it?
A small box. That doesn't tell us much about it, does it?
Bruno, if Mr. McGill did still have the ticket, then presumably he never redeemed the article. So do you think the box might still be present somewhere in the shop?
Oh, yes. If it's something Mr. McGill did deposited, we need to investigate. Alright. I know it was worth it to check that out immediately. Not that I think I can get anything out of this, but let's present it. Here, Gina, look at this. Nota. I wasn't saying you could have it. Oh, weren't you?
Well, when someone says I can't have stuff, it makes me want it, see? So you better hand it over now.
No, I'm not giving it to you. Oh, Gina. Let's check the scene of the crime now. "16th of April, Windibank's Pawnbrokery." Sure are a lot of poppies about.
This is where it happened then. Last night.
That's right. The 2 thugs I told you about were obviously ransacking the place looking for valuables.
But, apart from the policeman in here, you wouldn't know anything had happened. There's no sign of a disturbance.
No, you're right about that, actually.
In fact, if anyone, it's the police who seem to be the ones doing the ransacking.
I know what you mean. They're like a gang of organized criminals all dressed in black.
Oi, I heard that!
Oh, sorry, it's Gregson. Oh, Inspector, good morning. Suppose I ought to thank you for your vigilance last night. Got to the scene before it was disturbed, at least. Shame you let the two rogues get away, mind.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. I thought you'd assigned extra men to the beat around here, Gregsy. Now look what's happened. Hurley's been injured because there weren't enough police on duty.
Your ladyship! No one told me you were coming!
I expect you to take full responsibility for what happened to Hurley and see he has the very best medical care.
Of course, your ladyship. The very best doctors in the capital are tending to him as we speak.
And I don't think it's Runo's fault the rogues managed to get away, is it? Chasing criminals is the police's job.
Absolutely, your ladyship. As you say, ma'am, as you say. Man, dude's whipped. What does she have on him? The gent in black's totally blameless. Everyone's in agreement about that.
Would you believe it? He's like a completely different person with Iris. Talk about a personality change.
Oh, where are me manners? Are you thirsty, your ladyship? Perhaps you'd like some juice. It's nice, refreshing fruit juice.
Oh, why? Are you thirsty, Gregsy? I have some of my special herbal tea with me, if you'd like some.
Ah, lovely. Not very much. That really hit the spot, your ladyship. I don't even recognize him like this.
So, how's the investigation going, Inspector?
Nothing to it, really. Very simple case, this. There's some very definitive evidence. We're just about to charge that diver we arrested last night, in fact.
Gina, you're going to charge her?
That's right. Should be able to bring her before the judge at the Bailey tomorrow.
Definitive evidence, you say? What is it? Come on, show me.
Your ladyship, as much as I wish I could oblige you, I'm afraid.
Ah, I see. You've already captured the pair of thugs who broke in here last night, have you?
What the?
And you're going to put them on the stand as witnesses, are you?
How could you... How? How could you possibly know that?
I had a feeling, that's all. Remind me never to try and keep a secret from Iris. So you've arrested the two men who shot Mr. Sholmes, have you?
Well, yes. They were rounded up pretty quickly by the lads on the beat.
And Miss Lestrade is being held at the prison.
She should be. And that's assuming she hasn't lifted the key from the jailer, of course.
Can you tell us anything about Mr. Sholmes? What's his condition?
Sorry, I'm not at liberty to divulge that information. Scotland Yard matters are strictly confidential.
Well, I know he's being operated on at St. Sinners. Why can't I see him? I'm family, you know.
I'm terribly sorry, your ladyship. It's the hospital's policy. No visiting at all.
Oh.
The bullet must have hit an artery in his midriff. He's lost a fair bit of blood.
Oh no.
He didn't seem too bad in the first hour or so, but hemorrhage like that's enough to make even the one and only Sholmes pipe down.
Mr. Sholmes is human like the rest of us, you know.
Well, anyway, he's having emergency surgery right now. They've got to stop that bleeding.
But he will be alright, won't he? They'll be able to make him better?
Of course, your ladyship. He'll be as right as rain before you know it.
Really? How do you know?
How do I know? Well, because, of course... oh, yes. Because Mr. Sholmes is such a great detective. That's why.
We better pray the doctors have a better grasp of what's needed to make someone well again. Oh dear. Please don't die, Hurley.
I'll report to your ladyship the moment I hear he's out of the operating theater. I couldn't help noticing, Inspector. What? Out with it, Sunshine. Well, there seems to be a marked difference between the way you talk to me and Iris. Watch the sauce, Sonny. I'm a copper and we don't go in for favoritism.
But he's right. You do treat us differently.
It's because of those Adventures of Herlock Sholmes stories, that's why.
Oh.
I crop up in them, don't I? Inspector Tobias Gregson.
Oh, well, yes, because you're an acquaintance of Hurley's.
What did you write about the Inspector, Iris?
I don't remember, really.
It's one of Sholmes' lines. Gregson's the smartest of the Scotland Yarders, is how he put it.
Oh, did I write that?
And you know what that one line did for me? Huh? Very next month, my pay doubled! Doubled, I tell you!
Oh, that's amazing.
All because everyone at the Yard reads them. They read all the Herlock Sholmes' stories. They've even set up a fan club for me.
Oh, of course. That explains everything. It's around that time you became such a toady to me.
Can you blame me? All it takes is one bad from you, and Sholmes could change his tune about me. Gregson? No, the great detective will say. He's getting quite overrated these days. Think what would happen to my salary if that came out in print, eh? The whole thing gives me the willies. I can't tell you how many nights of sleep I've lost to worrying about it.
But that would never happen, Gregsy.
Every month when the new Rants magazine comes out, my hands are trembling as I turn the pages.
Oh, how awful for you. Here, have some of my tea to settle your nerves.
Ah, lovely. So very much. That really hit the spot, your ladyship. Teetotal. That's a pun I can approve of. Oh, yeah. There's something I was supposed to talk to you about, actually, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes? What is it? I've got an important message for you. I clean forgot about it until now. An important message? I wonder what it could be. Are you going to tell me what this important message is then, Inspector? Yeah, it's about that young lady who's normally by your side. Your assistant.
Dear Susie, is she alright?
She's at the station, isn't she? Being questioned, I believe. Nope, not anymore. She had to head off.
Head off?
Where? To Lord Strongheart's office, of course. He summoned her. Ah, yes, of course. I'd forgotten about that. One of the whipstocks took her there in a yard carriage after we finished questioning her. But she asked it to tell you she didn't have the fare for the return journey and to go and meet her there. She's got a nerve, using Scotland Yard as a bloomin' messenger service. I see. Well, thank you for passing that on, Inspector.
Why did Susie have to go and see the Lord Chief Justice?
She didn't tell me. But I'd better head over to the Lord Chief Justice's office to fetch her straight away.
Alright then, let's see what we can uncover.
Oi, what do you think you're doing, Sunshine? You can't touch anything in here.
Oh, but we are hoping to investigate.
This is a crime scene, for Pete's sake. No touching.
What's the problem, Gregsy? Runo's a lawyer. You know that.
Oh, I'm ever so sorry, your ladyship. Ever so sorry. The rules and regulations are a thorn in my side. Of course, if Mr. Naruhodo wasn't been properly appointed by the accused, that'd be another matter.
The accused?
If you could show me some representation papers, I'd be only too happy to let you nose around.
Did you hear that, Runo? You need Ginny to sign some representation papers.
Looks like presenting the detective here with the correct paperwork's the only way. Well, guess we can't do anything else here, so let's go back to the the office here. See if we can take a peek at this telegram now. Oh, this looks like a telegram. It is, but you mustn't open it. Not under any circumstances.
Alright, I won't. Now then, let's see.
No, what did I just say? You mustn't open it.
Don't worry, I won't.
With this special concoction I've developed, I'll be able to see through the envelope without having to open it. No, that's not allowed either.
Oh, but I'm sure it's something important.
Little geniuses sure can be mischievous. Okay, that's literally all I wanted to do here. Let's make a save. And let's go to the Lord Chief Justice's office, shall we? th of April, British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. Yes, no matter how many times I come here, I always get the same sense of oppressiveness somehow.
Do you think the place is oppressive?
I think it's normal. How so?
I mean, look at that suit of armor over there. You can't take that seriously, can you?
Maybe it thinks the same about you. So, everything is clear with regards to tomorrow's arrangements, I trust?
Yes, thank you very much.
There they are, Suzato-san and Lord Strongheart.
I wonder what they're talking about. They both look very serious.
Very good. There's nothing further to discuss. You may return to your lodgings. No doubt you have much to do in preparation for your return to your homeland. What? Wait, what did he just say? Your return to your homeland? Suzato-san?
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo.
What was all that about? Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you for coming to collect your colleague. What's this all about? Why were you talking about Miss Suzato's return to her homeland? And tomorrow?
Tomorrow? But what about Ginny's trial?
You mean...
She's been formally charged now? Oh dear.
Miss Suzato, what's all this about?
Oh, please don't concern yourself, Mr. Naruhodo. It's only me going back to Japan. Your life here can continue just as...
That's not what I asked! What happened? Why are you leaving?
It's my father. He's fallen ill. Oh no.
Professor Mikotoba? If I may. Yes, sorry. You must be the defendant. Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I believe. Yes, that's right. My name is Eugene Mikotoba. I'm a professor at forensic science at Yume University. We have received an international telegram from the Empire of Japan informing us of the news.
10 days ago, Father collapsed with a fever. The cause is apparently unknown, and it seems he grows weaker day by day.
I don't believe it. As you are aware, the voyage from here to your country's capital, Tokyo, takes some 50 days. I thought it would be prudent to hasten Miss Suzato's departure as much as possible. Yes, absolutely.
I will leave London first thing tomorrow morning. I
Can't believe this is happening.
So Gina's been charged? She'll have to appear in court?
Yes, she was formally charged a few hours ago, and the date of the trial has already been set for tomorrow.
No! Not even 24 hours later?
Gina. Ah, the Lestrade girl. And the murder of the Baker Street pawnbroker, yes. An all too conspicuous case. The pickpocket was clearly disturbed mid-robbery and shot the man in a panic. No, the yard is overstretched as it is without wasting time on these open and shut cases.
It's not wasting time. Ginny would never do something like that.
Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, yes, Lord Strongheart? In deference of your fine services to date, I shall overlook this young girl's insolence. But I have no recollection of admitting a child into my office. Leave. Now. Of course, Lord Strongheart. Criminals will tell the most palpable lies in order to evade justice. The police can ill afford the time it takes to unravel all their untruths. Meanwhile, more crimes are perpetrated. We have far more serious matters with which to contend. Serious matters? Didn't Gregson mention something like that yesterday? Yes, Inspector Gregson made a similar remark yesterday. It's no concern of yours, though I'm sure I need not remind you of that. 3 minutes precisely until my next meeting. You must excuse me. There's just one more thing, Lord Strongheart. Which is... it's Miss Lestrade's trial. I wonder if you might permit me to defend her. A timely suggestion. Sorry? The girl currently has no representation.
But that's not fair. Yes, she may be a pickpocket, but she still deserves a fair trial.
Do not misunderstand me, young lady. The government provides for those too poor to afford representation with a public defender. The accused need only sign the relevant paperwork, and a defense barrister will be assigned to the case. However, the young girl in question has refused that right. Why would she do that? A question you would do well to direct at Miss Lestrade. You'll find her at the local prison. Yes, thank you. Now then, it's time I was leaving. Good day to you. What a day. Gina charged with murder. Susato-san about to leave.
Come, Mr. Naruhodo. Iris, we must make haste. But, Susie... you're leaving for Japan tomorrow morning, aren't you? Don't you have packing and things to do?
As Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant, my personal circumstances are of no consequence. My sole purpose remains to help you in whatever way I can. Thank you, Miss Susato. It's a very pensive look. I think we ought to visit Gina first. In any case, I should like to wish her well before I leave.
Yes, that sounds like a good idea. Let's go.
If I'm honest, this has completely thrown me off. I'll just have to do what I can, as a lawyer. I got pinged again. Ah! Hello again, Gina. Seriously, you'd think they would have taken that away from her.
What are you lot here for now?
To have the muzzle that grenade launcher shoved into our faces yet again, obviously.
I think I need to improve the way you load ammunition into that thing, don't I? Look! You can come as many times as you like, but I ain't got nothing more to say to you. Gina, I wonder if you might hear me out. There's something I'd like to say. What? I'm sorry to say that I must reluctantly bid you farewell. Eh? Farewell? Tomorrow I must begin my journey back home, to Japan. I fear we may never meet again. Oh, right. I've had the pleasure of meeting so many lovely people here in London. I have so many wonderful memories. And yet, as things stand now, it will be a glum parting indeed. Poor Iris is so miserable. Susie? Well, that ain't my business. Both Iris and Mr. Naruhodo believe you to be innocent, Gina. They put their faith in you. But somehow, you can't find it in your heart to put your faith in them. Yeah, that's right. I can't. What of it? It grieves me greatly to have to say goodbye to my friends when they're so clearly unhappy. Because of you. What? It's my fault? Yes. So I have one final request, Gina, before our paths never cross again. Right here and now, I want you to show both of them that you don't deserve the faith they've invested in you. Eh? Only by doing that will you truly be as alone as you claim to be. What are you talking about? What do you expect me to do, eh? You've told us that everyone lies. So prove it by admitting one of your own untruths. What about what you said before, Ginny? You said something about unforgivable lies. You must tell Mr. Naruhodo and Iris the truth now. That is my last request before I leave. My last request as a judicial assistant. No, I can't. Whatever these lies are, they're obviously weighing heavy on Gina's mind. Gina, I could be wrong, but is it something to do with what happened 2 months ago? Something about that trial? The one in which Magnus McGilded was acquitted. The case of that mysterious murder that took place inside the omnibus. You were called as a witness by the prosecution. Is that what this is about? Yeah, you're right. Because in that trial, I lied. I lied like you wouldn't believe. Will you tell us about it now? Like you said, it all happened 2 months ago. The coppers got hold of me and shoved me into the witness stand. And based on your testimony, Mr. McGilded was declared innocent. Yeah, well, thing is, I lied about a whole bunch of stuff. I knew it. What sort of thing did you lie about? I was hiding under the seat that night. That was the truth. It was pitch black in that little cubby hole. I couldn't see a thing. And then I heard that loud thud, like someone falling on the floor. And that's when Mr. McGilded discovered you? Yeah. He pulled me out from under the seat and sat me next to the dead man. There weren't much light to see by. When I looked at me hands, I had the cub's blood all over them. I was so scared, I couldn't even speak. You had his blood on your hands? In other words, it was Gina that the witnesses on the roof deck saw through the skylight. Then Mr. McGilded started asking you questions, I suppose. Who you were, and why you were hiding under the seat. Yeah, he did. Only,
That's not all. What do you mean? I mean, he threatened me. Threatened you how? He made me swear about what I seen and what I'd heard, and about what he was gonna do after the cub was found dead. He made me swear I wouldn't tell no one about any of it. If I did that, he said he'd let me scarper before the coppers show up. Gina, you must tell me what he swore you to secrecy about. What you saw, what you heard, everything. You said McGilded made you swear not to tell anybody what you saw. But you were in the pitch-black compartment under the seat the whole time, weren't you? Yes, with Mr. McGilded sitting above your head, if I remember correctly. Yeah, that's true, but it was when I heard the thud of the cub hitting the floor, I let out a little scream, see? Couldn't help it. McGilded heard that and dragged me out by my arm, and that's when I saw it. It was on the floor next to the old geezer what had been stabbed. A disc, all bright and shiny. A disc? Do you mean... Yeah, that's it. The one what the D took me off at Winterbanks. So the music box disc was there on the floor of the omnibus. Not for long, McGilded spotted it straight away. He picked it up smartish and stuffed it inside his inside pocket. So that disc was in the omnibus 2 months ago at the scene of Mr. Mason's murder. And the bulk trotter told me. I want to mutter a word of it to no one. How'd the disc end up here then? Well, I think we're gonna find out, but my understanding is that McGilded let her run off, not only to hide her from the scene of the crime and hide a witness, but also to hide evidence, which seems to be why he told her to take it to a pawn shop. Because it was so dark under the seat in the cab, I was straining my ears the whole time. After a while, I heard the door and footsteps inside the cabin. Presumably that was McGilded getting on board. Nah, not only him. Oh. So I could definitely make out the footsteps of 2 people. In that case, it would seem likely that it was Mr. McGilded and the victim, Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason. In his testimony during the trial, Mr. McGilded claimed he had slept during the carriage ride. Whenever I'm in a carriage, I'm taken with a fierce tiredness, and I always succumb to it. And your own testimony, Gina, supported this. All I could hear was the Irishman snoring. Yeah, that weren't exactly true. Neither of them was asleep. I could hear them talking the whole time in low voices. What? What were they talking about? Sorry, I don't know. The sound of the horses and the wheels was too loud. But that still tells us something. Mr. McGilded and the victim knew each other. So McGilded was lying, as I suspected. I knew it wasn't going to take long before someone raised the alarm that the bloke had been killed. Yes, you were quite right. The other passengers on the roof deck noticed very quickly. So when the cab came to a stop, McGilded told me to hide back under the seat again. I climbed in and waited. 2 coves from up top ran over to get the coppers. Yes, Mr. Fairplay and Mr. First. Right, and after they'd gone, McGilded asked the driver to do him a favor. A favor? Now then, fella, what I need you to do is take these coat of mine and deposit it with a nearby pawnbroker. And for your troubles, let's see now. I'll give you 10 guineas. A nearby pawnbroker? You mean on Baker Street? Beppo, you son of a bitch! Conspiracy! Conspiracy! Yep, you got it. It was Windibanks. The coach, he snapped up the money and ran off to pop this coat as fast as he could. So then there was no one left in the carriage. McGilded opened the box under the seat and let me get out of there. Not without conditions. I see. Yep. McGilded's exactly as shady as he looked like. What were McGilded's conditions then? For letting you go free, I mean. Not telling a soul, not for anything, but what I saw and what I heard. And there was something else as well. There's more? Yeah. It's the most important thing, he said. I'm off to send in the coachman on a little errand for me, with some small change in his hand. Now then, did you hear what I asked of him? Did you say anything at all? You asked him to go pop your weasel, right? Aye. Means taking me overcoat to deposit with a pawnbroker hereabouts. And I want you, lass, to take the redemption ticket for it. You understand? What? You want me to have the ticket? That's right, and I'll come fetch it from you later, sometime within the next 2 months. You hang on to it until then. Is that clear? Whatever you do, don't lose it. Alright then. And in case I might happen to be delayed at all, you have to go to the pawn shop, Windibank so it is, and you are to extend the loan before the 2 months is up. If you forget, the article will be forfeited and any old fiend can come along and buy it. Yeah, but I ain't got that kind of brass. Here's £5. That should be enough. Do we understand each other, lass? Don't try anything funny now. If you go against me... Yeah, I get it. Good. One more thing. In a few days from now, you'll be visited by the police, I've no doubt. The coppers? Aye, they'll come asking you to take the stand in court. Testify as a witness. So let's just have a wee chat about that, shall we? What it is that you might say. What it is that you won't. God damn, he really had this planned out. Yeah, that entire trial was a sham from the start. Absolutely. After he'd gone over it all, I piked it. Got as far away from there as I could. He had the pawnbroker's ticket in some bushes near the scene. Went to fetch it for the next day once it got dark. So McGilded planned it. And coerced Gina into giving false testimony. Man, that's crazy. I bet you're ready to string me up, eh? I lied. In that big old courtroom. I told some corkers. Thing is, he said he would make it so he couldn't live in the East End no more. That's what he threatened me with. What a wicked man. He knew everything what went on in the back slums. He knew we had no one to look after us, and we was all just looking out for each other, getting by together. So you mean Mr. McGilded would have... In an heartbeat, he would have chased a lot of us out of there if he wanted. And then where we could have gone, eh? Nowhere, that's where. So, I didn't have no choice. Thank you, Gina, for telling us everything. But, I'm for it now, eh? Go on, admit it. You must be livid. Well, you can make amends by doing me a simple favor. Favor? What? Sign the representation papers for tomorrow's trial. Eh? If you don't actually want me to represent you in court, you can rip it up later. But we need that paperwork or we can't investigate. The police won't let us. Investigate what? The scene of the incident last night. Mr. Sholmes was shot, you see. You what? Hurley's having a big operation right now, Jenny. Is it bad? Is he gonna be alright? Sholmes is gonna be alright, right? That's why I want to investigate. For Mr. Sholmes' sake as much as anything. Right. So what you're saying is, if I sign that bit of paper, everyone's happy. Is that it? Something like that. Miss Usato? Yes, of course. I have the representation papers here. I don't need no one to stick up for me, though. No lawyer or nothing. Oh. Poor Ginny. She seems so lonely. Well, at least this means we should investigate the scene of Windibank now. Yes, and perhaps we can come back to visit Ginny when we're done there. I feel like we finally cracked Gina. She's opened up to us at last. And now I have her representation papers. No one else knows just what a responsibility that is. Anyway, for now it means Inspector Gregson can't stop us investigating at Windibank's. Although, something tells me he's not going to be happy about it. To be continued again? Come on. Seriously? See, I'm like right at the cusp of 2 hours, but I want to keep going. If this investigation part is just like another hour, then you know what? Screw it. We're gonna keep going. Screw it. We're good. We're doing more. It's not over yet. We're not done yet. 16th of April, 1:26 p.m. Windibank's Pawnbrokery. Here we are again at the scene of the crime. Now to thrust these representation papers in Gregson's face and see what he makes of them. Hello again, Inspector. Do you have a minute, please? What is it now? You should go home and get some rest. Here you are, Gregsy. Here are the representation papers. Your ladyship! How? I don't believe it. How the devil did you get that stubborn little ragabash to sign that? I salute you. That is good work, that is. I can see you've been very busy here as well. How about some tea? It's special blend designed to relieve fatigue. I do love this animation, and they're clearly getting everything out of it. Ah, lovely. Well, let's see now. Yes, I hardly feel tired at all. I'm fit as a fiddle, your ladyship. Would it be alright if we investigated the scene of the crime, then? Do as you please. You know where it happened. Through that door behind the counter. Yes, the storeroom. That's where I discovered Mr. Windibank. And Gina. Right, well, I'll be getting back to business then. Will you be investigating in the storeroom as well, Inspector? If I'm perfectly honest, we need to wrap this up before long. Can't afford to spend too much time on it. But there's so many articles to go through, it's taking forever, even with the lads working around the clock. Which is a problem, because there's another case the Yard needs to investigate urgently. That must be what Lord Strongheart meant by far more serious matters before. So what I'm saying is, don't get under my feet, sunshine. Come then, let us not waste any time. I said I was gonna keep going, but like, I really should have waited at that save screen because I need to use the bathroom real quick. So, pardon me 1 second while I use the loo, as they say in glorious Great Britain. Alright, we're back. Hope you guys weren't waiting too long. Just had to use the loo and all. There's the article ledger here, and Mr. Windibank's notes, and... Huh? What's this? It looks as though someone has left a little photographic print behind. Oh, look on the back. There's some writing.
Is there? Ooh, show us, Susie, show us!
15th of February, 10:30 p.m. Article deposited, 1 gentleman's overcoat. Loan amount paid, £1. Redemption deadline, 15th of April at 10:30 p.m. A gentleman's overcoat pawned for £1. Clearly it was a very fine coat. In fact, I think...
Yes, this must be the ticket for the overcoat that Ginny redeemed yesterday.
And is still wearing, which belonged to McGilded. I would have never expected the redemption ticket to be handwritten on the back of a photograph, though. It seems Mr. Windibank just used whatever piece of paper he happened to have on hand. But this photograph of a cat, it looks very familiar, doesn't it? I'm sure I've seen this exact same picture somewhere else recently.
Oh, yes, you're right. Very recently, in fact. It's the same as the one Ginny gave us earlier.
Of course, I was forgetting that she gave us that print.
Well, what are you waiting for then, Mr. Naruhodo? Get it out!
Alright, let the cogs turn.
Yes, they are exactly the same. I've got it. These 2 photographs hide an amazing secret.
A secret? What does she mean?
You must tell us, Iris, at once. Do you really want to know?
Yes, we need to tell us all you know about this pair of photographs. So, Iris, about these 2 photographic prints. The one we found here on Mr. Windibank's counter, and the one Gina gave us before. What is this amazing secret you found that's hidden between these 2 identical prints? Is this a spot the difference game? Because I'm horrible at those.
Actually, that's not quite right. Sorry? If you look carefully, the 2 prints aren't the same. Not exactly.
They're not?
Have another look at them now.
Oh, please don't make me pixel hunt. I cannot see a difference. I'm sure when someone points it out to me, it's going to be, like, obvious. Like, oh, how didn't you see that? But I'm really bad at these things.
Can you see that they're just slightly different from each other?
Is it like the angle of the cat? It looks very slightly different to me, but I think that's it. I think so. It's very subtle, though. But what's the reason for the subtle difference between the 2 prints?
Ah, well, it's because they're a set, you see.
No, I don't. This pair of photographs
is meant to be used in a stereoscope. Everyone in London is raving about them at the moment.
Ah, okay, that's it. Ah, a stereoscope. Why do I feel as though I've heard that word before recently?
Oh yes, that's what Mr. Shome showed us yesterday.
The moving picture slideshow, right over there.
You see? There it is, just over there.
Ah, yes, of course. That magical machine that makes pictures look almost real enough to touch. But you have to go cross-eyed. I can't go cross-eyed, so I'm not gonna do that.
Well, actually, it's quite possible to see the same depth in pictures even without one of those contraptions.
What, really?
Do you know how a pair of flat photographic prints can appear to have any depth in the first place? No, I have no idea. Oh, wonderful. Then I'll be able to tell you. She's over the moon. Bless her. Should we let her explain, though? We really need to carry on investigating the scene. I, for one, simply have to know. Yeah. Tell us, I guess. Have you ever considered, Runo, how our eyes see depth in the world around us? Well, I just opened them and it works. But the reason it works is because we have two eyes. Two eyes? Shocking. If you try closing just one eye at a time, I think you'll see straight away. What you see with your left eye, and what you see with your right eye, are ever so slightly different. You get a different view with each eye. Yes, the position of objects seems to shift slightly. Exactly, and in your head, your brain uses that shift to estimate depth as it merges the two views into one. That's how we can sense depth in everything we see. My brain really is amazing, isn't it? It does so much without telling me. Oh, I think I see. So the pair of photographs consist of a left eye view and a right eye view. Is that right? Oh, well done, Susie. You're so quick. So, if you can persuade your brain to merge the two pictures together in your head, you'd be able to see depth in these prints. Yes, Runo, you're beginning to understand. And a stereoscope's function is to act as your brain and allow you to do just that. Yes, but as long as you have two images, two eyes, and one brain, you can actually do it yourself without needing a stereoscope at all. You can? Really? Let's try it. Let's see if you can view this pair of prints without the help of a stereoscope. Oh yes, I'm dying to have a go. Suzato-san really loves this kind of thing. You need to be able to cross your eyes. That's the main thing. Can you both do that? Cross my eyes? I think I can. Watch me and see if you can copy. Make your eyes do this. Alright, let me try. Are you ready, Mr. Naruhodo? There, how's that? Wonderful, now it's your turn, Runo. The trick is to concentrate on looking at the bridge of your nose with both eyes at the same time. Yeah, no. I can imagine that must be, like, disconcerting as hell. Not exactly an easy task when two people are staring at you cross-eyed. Alright, that's enough practice. Now let's try looking at the prints. Start by staring at one print and slowly crossing your eyes. Oh, God, that was disorienting and I'm not even crossing my eyes. You should see two overlapping images like this. You try now, Runo. I'm just gonna have to give it a try, I suppose. Let's assume it worked. Did the print split into two images for you? Now the next step is to put the pair of prints side by side like this, and then try crossing your eyes again. The print should slowly merge together until they form a new single image in the center. Oh yes! Mr. Naruhodo, it works! I can see it in the middle now. It looks so real. Oh, I could look at it all day. I wouldn't advise that. Your eyes might start to hurt. Ah, it hurts. It burns. Your turn, Runo. Don't make me do it, game. Pretend you're looking through the two pictures and slowly cross your eyes. Keep adjusting the position of your eyes until the two images overlapped exactly in the middle. Like this, is it? There, you managed it. So now you know how stereoscopic images work. I sure did not.
Well, I don't know who discovered it, but it really is quite extraordinary. Please tell me I don't have to present those as evidence, because, God, I can't do that. Ugh. My head hurts just thinking about it. So, what do you think of these stereoscopic prints then, Runo? They're certainly amazing, but it isn't easy to get the knack of viewing them properly. No, some people find it easier than others. But that's why contraptions like this exist, for people who find it tricky. Oh, I recognize that. We saw one over there yesterday, didn't we? If I remember correctly, you press this little knob here. I hope this actually becomes relevant soon. Yep. Then set the pair of photographs in the stand at the back, and... it's still amazing, even though I know roughly how it works now. Well, London seems to agree with you. Stereoscopes are very popular at the moment. You can find one of these folding contraptions in lots of households in the capital currently. But if these little machines are so affordable, surely there's no need to go around staring cross-eyed at pictures like you hate them. But it's much more satisfying to be able to see the effect with your own eyes. Well, I think so in any case. Stereoscopic pictures. I'd never even heard of them until yesterday. We've certainly learned a lot about them, but I wonder if it's knowledge that I'll ever actually need. Well, it got into our court records, so it seems pretty worthwhile at the very least. This is the ticket that Gina brought in here yesterday. Yes, having been entrusted to her by Mr. McGilda 2 months earlier. Article deposited, 1 gentleman's overcoat. And the other redemption ticket was in the pocket of that coat. Yes, for a small box deposited 2 days before the omnibus incident. Could that have anything to do with all this? Alright, so a small box for 10 shillings on the 13th. So it would probably be somewhere here. If it is anywhere. That's a music box. Do you have them where you come from, Runo? Yes, but I've never seen one as large as this in Japan. Oh, well, this will be a treat. Shall we have a listen? What do you think? Isn't it a pretty sound? It's a beautiful sound, yes, but it's a little hard to enjoy when all the policemen in the room are giving you fierce looks. Never mind that. If any of them say anything, I'll tell Gregson to have a word. Iris Wilson, Superintendent of Scotland Yard. These shelves are where the pawnbroker puts articles that have been forfeited on display for customers to buy. Yes, it's a really strange miscellany, isn't it? I mean, who would buy this horse statue, for example? Well, sometimes you can find some real treasures among all the junk, you know? Are you alright, Runo? Oh, it's just, well, it looks like a collection of useless junk as a whole, but when you pick out individual things, you can't help wishing you owned them. Even that horse statue. That's exactly how the pawnbroker works. They're very clever. This is that strange contraption that lets you see pictures of things if they're right in front of your eyes. Makes you think. When Mr. Sholmes gleefully showed it to us yesterday, we were blissfully unaware that any of this was about to happen. This officer's been staring intently at the wall since before we came in here. Shh, keep it down. Oh, sorry. It's a major clue just here. Really? Then we must tell Gregson at once. But as soon as I report it, that'll be it. I'll be stuck here even longer. Stuck here? What do you mean? I haven't been home in 2 days already. I need another constable to relieve me and take over me shift. They really have a tough time, the British police. That doesn't stop us investigating, though, does it? No, I suppose not. Fairly sure it was the calendar he was peering at. You know, the one covered in blood here. Ah, look here. Oh yes, a bullet hole. And I can see the bullet is still lodged in the wall. Presumably Mr. Windibank wasn't practicing with his revolver in his spare time. Ah, well. Mr. Sholmes likes to practice in his drawing room whenever he can. He's very patriotic like that. Sorry? It's all there in the Adventures of Sherlock Sholmes, you know. Isn't that right, Iris? Ah, did I write something like that? Partly in jest, perhaps. In jest? Well, he doesn't do it often. It's quite a dangerous pastime. He doesn't do it often? He shouldn't even do it once! Forget that for now, Runo. Let's examine this bullet. What's that around the bullet hole? Is it blood? A suspicious red stain on the calendar. Ah! I may be able to help with that. What? There's nothing like the sight of blood to get the blood pumping, is there, Runo? Ugh, I have a feeling I'm not as bloody-minded as you, Iris. I'm afraid the sight of blood makes my blood run cold. There you have it, you see? When it comes to blood, we're all different types. Yes, what a scientific observation. So you need this. Oh no, what is that scary-looking thing? Hurley and I haven't actually come up with a name for it yet. But as soon as you see it in action, you'll understand what it does. Watch. Why is the blood green? Oh, the color of the bloodstains changed. There. Does it make sense now? Yes, I think I'm starting to understand. Good. It works on the principle that different people have different types of blood, you see. Yes, how wonderful. The chemical it fires combines with the blood and makes it change color. So you can identify whose blood it is that you're looking at in a flash. Oh, what a fabulous invention, Iris. Isn't it? Isn't it? I bet Ginny would say it's bleedin' great. So, whose blood are we looking at then? Well, all the chemical does is turn the blood a different color, so... Just find someone whose blood turns the same color and you'll know who it belongs to. In a flash. So it wasn't helpful at all. It's more like 2 flashes, really, isn't it? 1 flash or 2, this could well turn out to be a very valuable clue. So we must make a note of it in the court record. Let's keep testing and adding the results of any other blood analysis to the portfolio. As long as I have reagent left, sure. Actually, there's a stain on the back of that one photograph, isn't there? I think perhaps we should see if that tells us anything. Mr. Naruhodo, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's something rather troubling here. I have noticed. The red smear, you mean? Yes, it looks like blood, doesn't it? I wonder if Suzato-san had picked up on that. Well, in that case... Yes, we need Iris. We should show this to her before we forget. Okay, so I need to present that to her. Gotcha. Oh, I want to present. Oh, that looks like blood. I would say it's from a gloved finger. Almost certainly a glove made of leather. Well, don't worry, Runo. You can leave the rest to me. Purple blood. Okay. Look at that. Yes, that's a color we haven't seen before, is it? We simply must add to the portfolio of blood samples. It could be an important clue.
Although, it would be nice to find out whose blood these different colors correspond to at some point.
Well, this particular stain of blood...
Oh, you've had an idea, haven't you? Do you know whose blood this is?
Why would I have any idea? Well, actually... Not that I'm, like, confident. In fact, I'm so not confident. It's clearly male strong hearts. But this photograph was for the overcoat, so it is probably thrice-fired Masons. How could I? We don't have a known sample of the same color. Without that, it's impossible to know.
Oh, how very vexing. I wonder.
What?
Well, it's true that the color doesn't help us, but what about considering how the mark came to be there in the first place? You might have an idea about that, mightn't you, Runo?
Not if you keep staring at me like that, no.
Let's try that again, shall we?
Well, this particular stain of blood...
Oh.
I guess, this is a very butt-down-must kind of thing. Yes, I have an idea of whose blood it is. Not from the color it turned, but with a little deduction.
That's right. I think it's clear.
Iris, you know as well?
You first, Runo. Who do you think it belongs to?
Alright, I believe that this is the blood of... Okay, so I thought I was going to have to present a person, and that's why I said I didn't know. Thrice-fired Mason.
You don't sound very sure of yourself the way you trailed off there.
Well, it was 2 months ago now, that case. And of course, I've never met the victim, so I'm struggling to remember his name. He was definitely thrice-fired, though.
The victim?
Of the omnibus case?
Yes, his name was indeed Mr. Thrice-Fired Mason.
But that would mean that this bloodstain was left on the ticket 2 months ago. Yes, I think it was. Gina brought this ticket here to Windbanks yesterday. I'm suggesting that the bloodstain was already on it at that time.
So, it's a smear of blood from the time that Mr. Mason was killed 2 months ago. Something else is coming back to me now. Mr. McGilded was also wearing leather gloves that night.
Now ask is, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? I reached out to give the man a hand. It certainly does look like a leather-gloved thumbprint, this mark. But we know that Mr. McGilded had no injuries at the time, anywhere on his body. From which we can conclude that any blood on the glove belonged to the victim, Mr. Mason.
Mr. Naruhodo, you sound just like Mr. Sholmes.
Minus the quirky slip-ups, I hope.
Yes, I think you're right, Runo. Very well. Let's make a note of this.
Alright. So we know that purple blood belongs to Mr. Mason. So if we find some purple blood here, we know something has gone terribly, terribly wrong. Let's keep examining the scene. See, I'm really bad with dates. Is today the 16th or is today the 17th? It must be the 16th, because this is the day of the payment. Or, 15th of April was the redemption deadline, so... Clearly she got her coat back. So, what this tells us is that, the pawnbroker managed to change the date to the 16th, which means he must have died after midnight. Does that help us with the case? Maybe. We need some more details about stuff, but I feel like that's an important detail, to notice that he changed the date. I'm fairly sure this contraption was here yesterday as well. Here we are, though I'm not too confident I can get it closed again.
Oh, yes, that's a folding
Stereoscope. Really? This is a stereoscope? Mr. Shom showed us a picture yesterday that you were supposed to be able to see in 3 dimensions. But for that, he used the great big contraption over there.
Ah, well, that's for use in public houses and places like that. It contains a carousel with all sorts of pictures inside. But this little thing is a much simpler design for use at home.
Yo, how goes the case investigation? Pretty well. I mean, it's not going great for Susato or Shomes or Iris or Naruhodo really, but we're discovering things about the case at least.
There are special shops selling prints you can use in them. I have a little collection myself.
I wonder if I could make money out of these in Japan. It would beat keeping my toilet sparkling clean anyway. Hooray! Basic understanding. Also, are we gonna cut up all these bobbies to find out what color their blood is? No. The police are scouring every inch of this place by the looks of it. Instructions from the auditor to examine every article in the shop and every ledger and every book of accounts. Every article? But that's a ridiculous amount of work, surely. We've been hard at it ever since the shop was declared a crime scene in the early hours. Sifting through it all in shifts at least, but still. We'll be working through the night, that's for sure. Even then we'll have barely scratched the surface. Crime in a pawnbroker's. Must be every policeman's worst nightmare. It's every copper's worst nightmare, you know. Crime in a pawnbroker's. Yes, thank you. Thank you for reading our minds. Alright. This is new, I guess? Or I get to examine this again. That ledger that's open on the counter there really is enormous, isn't it? It must be an awful lot of work to keep track of all these hundreds of items in pawn.
It's too much to think about. Better to sell it all and have a clear head if you ask me.
But clearly Mr. Windibank was very careful when it came to the articles in his care. Like, this glass is important. Let me get that in more detail, game. Come on. No signs of a disturbance. There's a sign of a disturbance. Or at least a bullet probably flew through here and ended up there. So it must have gone straight through. Shomes? Weren't they in surgery to remove a bullet? What the fuck? Did they shoot twice? I don't know. Also, where the hell's the small box? We shouldn't find it in the storeroom. Theoretically. Behind that door is the storeroom, isn't it?
That's what Gregson said.
Yes, and that's where I saw that dreadful scene last night. Through the little window in the door. Well, this isn't a closed room mystery, so... And the reason why I can say it's not a closed room mystery for 100% certain is because we saw Ryunosuke open up that window. And Mr. Windibank was shot in the back, and he was dead on the floor with a bullet wound, clearly able to have been, you know, got him in the back and then he fell forward. It's like, yeah. Mr. Windibank faced down the floor with Gina beside him.
As the accused legal representative, you have the right to examine the scene, Mr. Naruhodo. We must make a thorough investigation.
Yes, of course. And we will. Behind that door, that's the real scene of the crime.
Don't worry. If there are clues in there, I'll find them.
Alright. I imagine they want to actually have me move directly to there. Also. Alright, so... this is what we know so far. Let's go to the storeroom. Oh, we could linger here a little longer. I think there's still stuff I could find, huh? Okay. Well, then I'm going back after I see this scene. Poor Iris. She's clammed up completely. Iris is bound to find this difficult. After all, Mr. Windibank's life was taken in this very room only last night. Ah! Nah, there's still stuff to do in the store itself. It's a beefy investigation. Yeah. Wait, Inspector! What is it now, Sunshine? He took one look at me and tried to run away. You think a Scotland Yard inspector would run away from some jumped-up little defense lawyer, do you? Well... I've never seen her ladyship looking like that before, is the thing. I didn't know what to say to her. So you weren't running away from me. You were running away from a 10-year-old. I'm afraid this is all a little much for young Iris. Some gentle reassurance might go a long way, perhaps, Inspector. Yeah. Hey, that 10-year-old has salary-cutting powers. Yep, she is truly the superintendent of Scotland Yard. Don't trouble yourself unduly, your ladyship. I mean, at least you're not dead, are you? Gregson. Bad. I don't think that went very well. Why? Gregson, my dude, you're getting fish and chips all over the crime scene. Look, I'm in the middle of an investigation here, Sunshine, and I told you not to get under my feet. And we have investigating to do ourselves. Yes, I'd like to hear more of what the socially inept inspector has to say. Oh, Hurley. And inquire into how Mr. Sholmes' operation is going. Yeah, so Gregson and his friends are working very hard in their investigation, aren't they? Did I miss something? Did I miss something or did I not? Feel like I got... Oh, I have to examine this again. I see. Green blood. It just seems wrong somehow. Oh, there are all sorts of different colors. There are pretty pinks and purples too, you know? Like I said, everyone's blood is different. I wonder what color my blood would turn out. Actually, I don't want to know. Was that literally it? Yeah. The one thing I dislike about investigation sometimes is just pixel hunting. But I think I am good now. Yeah. Alright. Did all that just to see that again. Alright. Let's talk to Gregson here, but first... Inspector Gregson, could you give me your opinion about this, do you think? We don't tend to share, Sunshine. Not with the general public.
In that case, Gregsy, how about some herbal tea?
Ah, lovely. So very much. That really hit the spot, your ladyship. You don't mind sharing that, then? Alright. Let's talk to Gregson first. So, Inspector, what do you make of the crime scene here? England and their tea. You got eyes, haven't you? Use them. It's what it looks like. Nothing more, nothing less. Iris, could you lend me a hand?
So, Gregsy, what do you make of the crime scene here?
Oh yes, your ladyship. Do allow me to humbly explain. Last night, shortly after the hour of 1 o'clock in the morning, Scotland Yard police attended the scene. The one and only door of the storeroom was found locked from the inside.
So it was locked from the inside. The lock appears to be broken now, though. Was that the police officers doing?
Quite right, ma'am. Quite right. We took the liberty of smashing the door in, as humbly as possible.
Oh.
As you can see, the victim was discovered prostrate on the floor, thuswise. And next to the aforementioned body, we discovered the vile gutter child.
Are you talking about Ginny? She's my friend, you know, Inspector.
Miss Lestrade, the hapless girl, was curled up on the floor, dead to the world.
She's still alive, you know. Yes, when I saw her, she appeared to be unconscious.
And I'm afraid to say she had the gun that was used in her hand.
No!
Presumably, it's the gun that's still down there on the floor now. In her pocket, we found the key to the door as well.
What? The key to the storeroom?
And you say the storeroom had been locked from the inside, Inspector? Correct. All of which leaves her ladyship's friend in something of a sticky situation, I'm afraid. Obviously, my personal opinion is that is all some sort of misunderstanding.
Of course it is, Inspector. Of course it is. Gregsy, do you know anything about Hurley? Is the operation finished? Is Hurley alright? Is he?
The thing is,
Don't mince your words, Inspector, please. You don't mean to say that Mr. Sholmes is...
No, the operation's done and dusted. It's just that, well...
Out with it!
Yes, ma'am. They use something called a general anesthetic. It's the latest thing. Renders the whole body insensitive.
The whole body? Anesthetized? Is that even possible?
Means the operation can be completed while the patient's fast asleep.
Goodness, in the Empire of Japan, we can just manage to provide laughing gas for a tooth extraction.
Trouble is, the latest thing isn't always the greatest thing, if you follow my meaning. They couldn't get the medication to work at first, so it took hours for him to nod off, or so I hear. Now the op's finished, they can't get him to wake up, apparently.
Oh my.
No one knows if it's the anesthetic still in his system, or if the bloke's just plain exhausted. But anyway, all they can do is stand back and watch until he comes around again.
Hurley.
The moment he opens his eyes, your ladyship, I swear I shall get word to you.
What a surprise. Even in matters of life and death, Mr. Sholmes has to do things his way. God, that's rough. Alright. Time to examine scenes. Let's start with the gun. This is a revolver. A real one. And quite possibly the murder weapon used to take Mr. Windibank's life. What's the matter, Susie? You and Runo look like you're about to faint. Well, it's just that I've rarely seen a gun in the flesh.
And I've had issues with guns in the past.
But anyway, we saw Mr. Windibank with this yesterday, didn't we?
I shall have to take my own life.
It must be the same gun. And last night, when I looked through the spy hole in the door to the storeroom here,
That was the same gun I saw in Gina's hand. Mr. Windibank told us that he only ever had a single bullet loaded in his revolver, didn't he? Well, it's empty now. The one and only bullet he had in his gun had been fired. So we can be fairly certain that only a single shot was fired from this revolver. Alright, now let's look at the body. Well, the body position. Poor Mr. Windibank. He was a nice old man. Well, he was shot just once through the heart. Most likely the fella died instantly. He wouldn't have felt a thing. Well, that takes some pretty precision work then. This must be his blood then. I don't like to ask at such a wretched time, Iris, but I wonder if perhaps... Don't worry, Susie. I'm ready for action. Blue. So now we know the color the chemical turns when it reacts with Mr. Windibank's blood. And it doesn't match our analysis of the bloodstain we found in the main shop. No, but let's add the sample to the others we've already collected anyway. Alright. So we have 3 different bloods at the crime scene. Let us review our court record again. Yep, Pop Windibank. Is that a pun? Pop and Wind? Maybe? Look at all these articles that have been deposited. This room is stuffed full of them. I can't believe how many there are. A bicycle, a gramophone, musical instruments, even some enormous paintings. Look! Pieces of different people's lives, quietly gathering dust in here together. Something very peaceful about the atmosphere in here. Or at least there would be, if not for the chalk outline on the floor and the policeman shuffling around. You know, it probably is a pun. Yeah, like I kind of have a feeling it is. I just don't understand it. Like Giselle Brett in the first case, I'm not sure I understand that one either. Unless Brett is maybe supposed to be like burrito, like bullet, but that's a stretch. Not much I can do about that, sunshine. Out of all the articles in the storeroom, this is the only thing that shows any sign of being ransacked. Oh, so you looked at Giselle's name pun? What is it, Iris? That's the box file my manuscript was being kept in. Oh. Iris's unpublished story, The Hound of the Baskervilles. Surely that's not what all this... Sorry, Iris, but you asked me, you sold it. Without telling you. We must check inside the box at once. Yes. It was there. Iris's story was there. Really? It was? Well, that's good news, isn't it, Iris? Apparently in the Sherlock novels, Watson gets shot by a Giselle gun, and Brett is supposed to be based from Bullet. Ah, clever, clever, clever. I have some knowledge of Sholmes books, but I don't have a lot. Like, I'm vaguely aware of this case, The Hound of the Baskervilles. I was vaguely aware of the case of the Speckled Band, and the fact that the Russian did it. But, you know, it's stuff like that. Well, that's good news, isn't it, Iris? Yes. And Wilson being a copyright version, apparently, of Watson, we get Giselle Brett. Exactly. They made, you know, Wilson, or Watson, and they made Sholmes, or Holmes. So, I mean, it's easy. It's simple, it makes sense. I mean, of course I believed Hurley when he said he deposited here, but still. It's a relief to actually see it. Really? Because that's not a very well-hidden frown. Alright. That needs further examination, I think. The Hound of the Baskervilles. How did Suzato-san know the exact title of this unpublished story? I suppose I'll just have to wait until she's ready to explain it to me. I'm so sorry. Doesn't appear to be anything on here otherwise. At least let me flip through the pages. Okay, at this point in time, there's nothing it can tell me, so guess we're just leaving that as is. Is that everything? No, I can check the body again. Iris? Don't worry, I'm alright. But we must find the true culprit. Yes, absolutely. Also, we want to find that box that apparently Gina was, well, actually, it would be on the other side, wouldn't it? Well, I think that's everything I can see. Do you have anything new to say, Gregson? No? How do you feel about this? Nope. Okay, just this scene again. Alright. Not sure what else I'm gonna find here. If you let your concentration slip, you might miss what people say. Do I have to talk to him about the same stuff again? Or what? Oh, there's something I have to show him. Okay. Well, I showed him my armband. Let's show him this. Nope. Inspector, what do you make of this? Ah, what have we here then? A redemption ticket for an article deposited here, is it? That got you for a while as well. Okay, yeah. Makes sense. Looks like someone ran out of office stationery and wrote the ticket on whatever paper was to hand. Yes, this is the ticket from Mr. McGilden's overcoat. The one that little diver turned up with yesterday. Oh, actually, no, it's not. Really? Think you know better than me, do you? No, I didn't mean to, Runo's right, Gregsy. It isn't the same ticket. Of course it isn't, of course it isn't. I never doubted you, your ladyship. There are some points where you just turned on story mode since I wasn't getting what to do at some points in investigations. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Like, I wouldn't use it during the court stuff, but like, when I'm pixel hunting, I'm just like, wait, what do I need to do now? Sometimes they can be very obtuse with what you need to actually do. So, what's all this about then, if I might be so bold as to ask? This is a second ticket. A second one? It seems that Mr. McGill did in fact had another article in storage here at Windibanks. Is that right? I think we need to discuss this further with the inspector, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh good, because he's ever so easy to talk to. This ticket was in one of the pockets of Mr. McGilden's overcoat. Yeah? You mean to tell me... Yes, there was more than just the music box disc, it seems. I should have insisted on the lads taking it back to the yard and examining it properly. Well, according to the details on this ticket, Mr. McGilden deposited another article here with Mr. Windibank. Yes, I can see it written here. A small box, was it?
Do you have any idea where it is, Gregsy? Any idea at all? It's another article belonging to Mr. McGilded. It could be an important clue.
Well, yes, I suppose it could be. Please, stop looking at me with those big turquoise eyes all full of hope and expectation. It's too much pressure. I'll lose my marbles, I will. I'll go barking.
This is no time for dog impressions, Inspector.
That's enough sauce from you, Sunshine. There's one thing that springs to mind. According to this ticket, the redemption deadline's already passed, hasn't it?
Oh, yes, of course. Articles are only held for 2 months. So the small box will no longer be in here then.
That's right. It's been forfeited.
Which means it could be on the shelves in the front of the shop, where the forfeited items are offered for sale.
Yes, the shelves in the front. We must search them at once. For a second time. You're wasting your time.
Oh?
There are dozens of little boxes out there. Hundreds, even. We can't possibly know which one might have been McGilded's. That information's not written on the ledger.
Well, I think we should at least have a look, just in case.
Of course, your ladyship, of course. Very sensible of you, I'm sure. This is getting old.
Oh, God. Ah! I nearly jumped out of my skin there. How could Mr. Windbag set such a wicked trap?
I doubt he set out to scare anyone.
Is that really the time? I think perhaps we should pay Gina another visit soon.
Oh?
Her trial is tomorrow. We must establish whether or not you will be defending her. I think we should ask her one more time. She may have changed her mind. Don't you remember, Runo? You told her she could rip up the representation papers if she didn't want you to be her lawyer.
Really? Did I say that?
Yes, you did.
I really hope we don't get Zeke's again for her. I mean, when you say it like that, you're pretty much just asking for it, aren't you?
The deadline for submitting the paperwork is fast approaching.
In that case, we better hurry back to the prison and talk to Gina again.
But...
Wouldn't want to lose 2 people in a row on the same set of cases. Yeah, no kidding.
Yes, this is where all the items that have been forfeited by their original owners are offered for sale. That's right. They've all got little price labels on them, but there are so many.
I wonder if the small box this ticket was for is still on the shelf somewhere. The box that McGill deposited here are just over 2 months ago.
Even if it were, finding it promises to be very troublesome indeed. There are so many boxes, it could be any one of them.
Mr. Shome said that a pawnbroker's was the safest place to store anything, more secure than a bank's vault. So perhaps the small box Mr. McGilded contained something of very great value.
Well, if that's the case, he'd probably have kept it locked.
So then, we need to find every box with a lock and break them all open.
Hiya!
Well, this is auto takedown number 1.
That sort of misconduct would get you arrested. I won't let that happen.
This takes me back. It's been some time since Suzato-san last threw me. Alright, I think that was all I needed to investigate here. Yeah. (16th of April, 5:41 p.m.) Local prison, cell number 13. Ah, Gina, good, you're back. Ah! The police must have finished questioning her then. Oh, how was it, Ginny? Was it awful? Eh? Oh, didn't bother me. Thank you for the papers you signed before. It meant we were able to investigate at Windibanks. Oh, right. Don't you want to know how we got on? We've been ever so busy. What's the point in asking? Won't change what everyone's saying. That I did it. That's not... Gina, we came to ask for your final decision. Eh? What decision? About tomorrow's trial. Will you let me defend you or not? I must submit the paperwork now if you'd like Mr. Naruhodo to represent you. Right. I see. She's really lost her fight all of a sudden. But I know what that feels like. The worry is just so hard to bear. Oh, alright then. Blimey, give it a rest with them eyes, Iris. So come on then, fill us in. Who done it? Unfortunately, we don't know that yet. You don't say. We don't know yet, Gina. But Mr. Naruhodo and all of us know that you are innocent of this crime. And while we haven't yet managed to work out who the real culprit is, there are a number of interesting facts that we have managed to establish. Oh yeah? Like what? Well, for example, the reason for you being there in the first place. I think I know now why you broke into Windibanks that night. It looks like I'm going to have to take some evidence that clearly reveals the reason, and thrust it in Gina's face. Or I could present it to her calmly, I suppose. So let's go ahead and do that now, shall we? We found this in Mr. Windibank's storeroom. The manuscript of Iris's latest story. Oh, right. Well, that's good then. Curiously, the storeroom at Windibank showed no signs of being ransacked for items of value or the like. With one exception. The box file that housed this manuscript. It was you, wasn't it, Gina, who broke open the box containing this manuscript last night? Eh? You were determined to find out whether or not the Hound of the Baskervilles was really there. That's the real reason you broke into the storeroom last night, isn't it? Ah! Why don't you tell us what happened? Please. Alright, yeah. This Baskervilles story. It's the latest Sholmes adventure, right? But it ain't been printed yet. So I figured, it gotta be worth a fair few pieces of silver, right? Oh yes, at least 5,000 pounds. What? So, you intended to sell Iris's manuscript, did you? No. Ginny, how could you? What? Wait, no, hang on. Of course I wasn't gonna sell it. All I wanted to do was find out if the manuscript, or whatever you call it, really was there or not. It's the only reason I was in the place. For Iris's sake? Isn't that right? We knew why you'd done it from the start, Gina. Of course we did. But... I knew you wouldn't do anything mean like that, Ginny. I just knew it. Well, when I saw the manuscript in the storeroom, it reminded me of what you said the night before. Grown-ups do a lot worse than that, believe me. Barefaced lies, the lot of them. You just ain't realized it yet. I'm telling you, that manuscript ain't at Windibanks. You'd soon see it if you had a look. If I'm honest, I have wondered if Hurley's telling me the truth sometimes. I mean that I sometimes wonder if he might have hidden my manuscript somewhere. Somewhere I don't know. Even though it's wrong of me to doubt him.
Oh, Ginny, that was so sweet of you. Alright, alright. I'll tell you why I did it. Just stop looking at me like that, Iris. Aw, she can't win against Iris. Let me just, no, let's keep on with this line of questioning, shall we? It weren't because of Iris. That's not why I did it. I just wanted to know the truth, that's all. You wanted to know if Mr. Sholmes was being honest? If he'd really deposited the manuscript at Windibanks? It's like I told you the night before. I never had a father. But Iris's lot ain't like mine. She's got her dad, only she can't see him. And I reckon that's gotta be harder. That's why she writes the stories. They're about her dad, really. That's what it sounded like to me, anyway. Last night when I was listening to what you were saying. Stories? About Daddy? You mean, they're not the adventures of a great detective, so much as the adventures of a great detective and his trusty partner. Well, that's how I see it, yeah? You're so thoughtful and so kind, Ginny. Yes, and we never thought any differently, did we? Look, give it a rest, will you? I hate all this chummy nonsense, do you hear? I hate it. I don't trust no one, right? That's how I work. Because if you don't trust no one can let you down. So leave me alone. Go on, Scarpa. Gina's a good kid. Yeah, absolutely. I hadn't noticed until now, but it's unmistakable. Right there on both sleeves of that overcoat are some very suspicious red stains. What? Why are you looking at me like that? I think it might be worth presenting some of our other findings in that area to Gina now. We're gonna ask about representation to the court at the very end. Shoot her with the gun. Those stains on the sleeves of your new coat, Gina. They're blood, aren't they? Not that I know whose blood yet. What? Blood, Mr. Naruhodo? You don't appear to have any obvious wounds yourself, though. So, could it be blood that's splattered from Mr. Windibank when he was shot last night? Let's not beat around the bush here. This trusty friend of mine will get results much faster than anything else. Looks like she's taking your suggestion, Crimson. Take it easy, Iris. Don't move, Ginny. I'm gonna shoot. Purple. Purple all over. Well, I think that makes McGilded 100% guilty. Holy crap, that is a lot. Oh. Oh my. What the? Apologies. Forget the sleeves. The whole coat is covered in blood. Of course. The black color of the fabric was masking the stains. That's why we haven't seen them until now. And the blood has reacted with the chemical to turn a purple color, which matches one of the samples we've already collected perfectly. Yes, now, let's see. Who had the purple blood? Yes, it was the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, the victim of the murder case 2 months ago. I knew it. What are you all on about? The victim? What do you mean? It's a rather uncomfortable situation, Mr. Naruhodo, but I think this makes things quite clear. It means the omnibus case is finally solved. The truth about who really murdered the brickmaker, Mr. Mason, is revealed. Oi! Would somebody explain what's going on? Stop telling half a story!
we can see now that the victim's blood is all over Mr. McGilded's overcoat. But in the trial 2 months ago, the defendant said this in his testimony. Now I ask yous, what good-hearted soul wouldn't rush to help a fella bleeding from his stomach? I wasn't about to start worrying about me gloves now, was I? Reached out to give the man a hand. Yeah, it's the bricklayer. Yep, the ambiguity of case 3 is completely cleared up with all this. But if you look at the overcoat now, it's clear. These stains couldn't have arisen from McGilded trying to pull the victim to his feet. No, if that was what had really happened, the blood wouldn't have splashed all over the front of the coat. The only explanation for this pattern of blood is that it splattered over McGilded's coat when he stabbed the victim in the stomach. I've tried to run from the truth for long enough, but there's no escaping it now. The true culprit in that case, Mr. Mason's killer, was Magnus McGilded. Oh, how do you feel about letting a guilty guy get off scot-free? Well, he didn't really get off scot-free. He got sent to a burning building. So, you know, whatever. Yeah, and the case was also forced on us, so I mean, like, you know, whatever. Mr. Naruhodo, that horrible case is solved at last. And I helped the man walk free from that trial. I used all that twisted testimony and all that sham evidence to prove his innocence. To be honest, he got himself off free, yeah. I mean, pretty much. How could I have let that happen? Runo, did you believe him, though? Did you believe Mr. McGilded was innocent? I believed, or rather, I think I was trying to believe. I wanted to. Because believing in those you represent in court is defense lawyers' greatest weapon. A weapon? But then we got ourselves a well-done McGilded served that night. That's right, extra crispy. Before we came to Great Britain, a great friend of mine taught me a valuable lesson. You mean Kazuma-sama? Listen, Ryunosuke. We lawyers are only human. We can't know for sure what is the truth and what is a lie. Which is why we must resort to our primary weapon. An unwavering belief in our clients. That's all we really have. Unwavering belief? Only when we truly believe what our clients tell us can we fight with everything we have for their cause. Playing the boys' theme. Yep. In any battle, there can be no victory without faith. So I believe you, unwaveringly. What's funny, Gina? Cool. Sounds like in the Empire of Japan you come from. Everyone must be soft. Well, come on. Look at the mess it's got you into, believing in that bog trotter. Yes, I inadvertently helped a murderer walk free. Well, at least you learnt your lesson now, eh? Believing in people's never worth it. Someone always stabs you in the back in the end. As soon as you let down your guard, you've had it. Take a leaf out of my book. Believe no one. Get hurt by no one. Gina, may I ask you something? What? I'd just like to make absolutely sure. What would you like us to do with these representation papers for tomorrow's trial? How many times do I have to say it? Rip them up and chuck them away. Are you really sure that's what you want? I bet that what he wants it all now. Mr. I'm a believer lawyer over there. Don't forget it was me in that trial 2 months ago. I led everyone up the garden path, didn't I? And you're telling me you can believe in me after that? Not likely. Well, Mr. Naruhodo, a lawyer's primary weapon is an unwavering belief in his clients. Ultimately, it comes down to whether or not I feel I can trust Gina after everything that's happened. Can you believe people would actually pick I can't trust her? Like, at this point? I mean, who would do that? Who could possibly... No, I'm not doing that. Even as a joke, I couldn't do that. Gina, let me say it again. Please allow me to represent you in tomorrow's trial. Are you half-baked? Not at all. You've not once admitted to committing the crime, have you? Only monsters don't trust Gina. What's more, I believe that you're telling me the truth. Seriously, Mr. Naruhodo. Didn't you hear about all what I said before? I'm a born liar. Fibs just trip off me tongue. And I'm a diver, don't forget. I pulled the wool over your eyes 2 months ago and got you in all sorts of trouble. Why'd you ever trust me now? I just don't get it. Naruhodo, I like that one, yeah. Gina, I do understand why you choose not to put your trust in others. But I assure you, there is more to this life than you yet realize. What do you mean? The world we live in is full of people you would do very well to trust. People who won't ever let you down. Eh? It's true that I'm just a student of law, and I'm certainly lacking in courtroom experience. But I can promise you this. Whatever happens, and until my very last breath, I am completely on your side. What do you expect me to say to that? Then it's decided. I will take these papers now and carry out the necessary preparations for tomorrow's trial. It would be a shame to throw them away now after it's been penned with your name so beautifully. Do what you like. You Eastern Lauder. I don't know what you are. I don't get ya. Gina's taken herself off to the back of her cell. She'd never admit it, but I hope she's feeling relieved. That turned out all right in the end, I think. Whoever's hiding there, show yourself at once. Eavesdropping is the height of cowardice. Miss Usato? Somebody is there in the shadows. I can sense it. Somebody who wasn't there before. What? That's my reaction, dude. Blimey, you're sharp, eh? Gregson, what are you doing sneaking around like that? Suppose you're using one of those mystic Japanese arts, like the art of stealth I've heard so much about. If anyone was being stealthy, it was you, Inspector. Gregsy? Oh dear me, I'm most terribly sorry, your ladyship. I didn't mean to startle you. How long have you been listening in on our conversation? Good grief, listening in? No. I just got word that there were some visitors who were refusing to leave even though it was after hours. I assure you, your ladyship, I only just arrived this very minute, not a moment earlier. That's all it is. Nothing untoward, nothing at all. After hours? Is it that late already? So then, I'll humbly excuse myself now, your ladyship. Ta-ta, toodaloo, cheerio, and all the best. Bye-bye and bye. That's a lot of farewells, and not one of them appropriate for her ladyship. Oh, but I want to have a chat. I'm terribly sorry, but time is pressing at the minute. Oh, I see. That's a shame. If I don't get this emergency at the Supreme Court dealt with sharp as Lord Strongheart, well... Emergency? Lord Strongheart? No, forget I said anything. Anyway, I'm off.
Alright, Gregsy, if you have to, but let's chat soon.
Delighted. Charmed. Can't wait. If you please. My pleasure. That's a lot of pleasantries, and not one of them sounded sincere.
Gregsy's so funny. He says such silly things.
It's certainly entertaining to see an inspector of the police fawning to a 10-year-old girl. But anyway, I wonder what this emergency is at the Supreme Court.
I must attend the court clerk's office now before it closes.
Yes, of course. Thank you, Miss Susato.
Kindly escort Iris home now, Mr. Naruhodo. I shall meet you there later.
And so our investigation came to an end. Susato-san went to file the necessary papers for my defense of Gina the following day. And then it hit me. I could no longer suppress the wretched feeling that had been gnawing away at my insides. Tomorrow, Susato-san would be leaving Britain and making her way back to Japan. April 16th, 11:13 p.m. Naruhodo's Legal Counsel Consultancy. Meow.
Naruhodo-san, it's been a very trying day, hasn't it? I do hope you're not too exhausted.
What about you, Susato-san?
Today's been even more trying for you, I'm sure.
Mr. Sholmes was shot before our eyes, Gina was arrested, all on the back of the news that her father had fallen ill, and she must return to Japan at once. I hope your father recovers soon.
Thank you for your kind words. I wonder why it is that so many thoughts rage inside my head like a storm, and yet I seem unable to find the words to express any of them.
I know exactly what you mean.
Anyway, I have one final task to complete as your judicial assistant. Once that is done, I shall make preparations for my departure tomorrow.
One final task?
It's just 2 months since we arrived in London, but we've managed to establish this office. It was finally feeling as though we were settling in. I would be lying if I said I felt no regret.
I'm so sorry, Susato-san.
It's just so sudden. I really don't know what to think. I've had no time to gather my thoughts.
I know we've only been here a short time, but in my limited experience of the courtroom, I feel I've learned something.
And what would that be?
It seems to me there are many facets to people's personalities. Facets? And like a jewel, the light plays off of them in complex patterns, illuminating their actions and their motives. But we see only a small number of the total facets, and what is illuminated is only a part of the whole story. What lies in the shadows? What do those facets we cannot see look like? Perhaps there are some parts we'll never lay eyes on for as long as we live.
That's so true. Sometimes I feel as though I'm blind to so much,
but I keep hoping that one day it will all become clear. That all the facets will be illuminated, and I'll finally understand how everything fits together.
Naruhodo-san?
I suppose what matters is that we keep our eyes open and keep moving forward, even if the way sometimes seems dark.
It's amazing to think it's been just 2 months. You've grown so much.
Sorry, what?
Oh, no. It was nothing. Unimportant.
We heard that. That was really sweet of you, Susato. Mm-hmm. Do you know what time you'll leave London in the morning?
Yes, I picked up my ticket earlier. I shall be leaving here at 4 a.m.
I see. Well, I'll escort you to the station.
Absolutely not.
Sorry? I'm sure you realize why I couldn't possibly let you do that. You have a very important day ahead of you tomorrow. Gina's trial. Yes, I know, but every word you utter will have the potential to determine Gina's fate. You must get as much rest as possible. Even though, like me, I'm sure you'll find it hard to sleep. But please, for me, do try. Aww. You mentioned one final task a moment ago. What did you mean? Oh my, I nearly forgot. Please, I want you to have this. What is that? Some huge bundle of documents? It's my notes. From the case 2 months ago. The murder that was committed on the omnibus. The McGilded case. It seems to me that the case of Mr. Windibank's murder, of which Gina is accused, is very much tied up with that omnibus case, in ways that are not yet completely apparent. So I took the liberty of consolidating my writings about the case for you. With everything else she's had to think about, Suzato-san still managed to do this, and all neatly laid out for me in her beautiful handwriting. It was my pleasure. I can only hope that it will bolster your case for tomorrow for Gina. Thank you so much, Suzato-san. I'll do my best to use it wisely. You really are the best judicial assistant in the world. Well, that's extremely flattering. But I'm sorry to say that I've been a complete failure. Sorry, I didn't quite catch what you said there. Oh, ignore me, I was just mumbling to myself. Suzato, you know that's not true. Well, it's getting rather late. I think you should go to bed now, Naruhodo-san. I must finish packing up my things in my room. Suzato-san, I wish you the very best of luck tomorrow. Good night. Wait! There's something I need to say. Rip. What was that? A secret technique of mine. The Suzato shutdown. Shutdown? Please, I implore you. If we have to voice our goodbyes, I won't be able to hold back my tears. Oh, Suzato-san. Let's examine these. Mason Milverton was his name. Thrice fired Mason Milverton, brickmaker at the East End of London. Defendant was McGilded. Conviction was assured with 3 eyewitness testimonies. However, surprise forthwitness testimony resulted in acquittal due to insufficient evidence. Suzato-san. We're gonna be all alone. It's just us. Just us all by ourselves. It truly had been a trying day. On our feet for hours, getting Gina to open up to us, and learning the truth about that nemesis of a case. Physically and mentally, I was exhausted. And yet the idea of sleep seemed impossible. But I forced myself to close my eyes. And as a cacophony of scenes of our lives here in London played through my mind. Eventually, my fatigue triumphed, and I fell into a deep sleep. Wifey's leaving. Wifey's leaving us. Wait, I don't even get a to be continued screen? Nope. God. Okay, I guess we're going to the St. Sinners Hospital. Yes, I quite understand. That is a great weight off my mind. Rest assured, I shall put everything in place, exactly as we have discussed. Thank you so much. It's been an honor and a pleasure to be acquainted with you, Mr. Sholmes. On the contrary, the pleasure has been mine. I bid you farewell, and Godspeed. My dear Madame. Susato, what are you doing? What's going on? Ah! I'm so confused. Okay, now we get our to be continued screen. Our third one of the stream. So, that will be it for sure this time. So, thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed this episode of, The Great Ace Attorney. And I hope you join me next time as we start on the trial portion. Will we be able to get Gina acquitted? What does McGilded's case have to do with everything? Oh man, I'm so excited, man. This trial has been this whole investigation scene has been a blast. I really loved investigating with Iris. She's so cute. I just want to hug her. Oh man, this case is giving me the feels all over. I'm having a blast, and I can't wait to see how this concludes because man, this has been a really strong case so far, and we've just done the investigation stuff. In any case, my frames are dropping like crazy, so I guess that is a good time for me to sign off for real. Farewell, everyone. We'll see you next time.